Welcome to the Fantasy Audiobook. Salty Fish Mentor. All my students are world-destroying genius. Chapter 1. Tear up those advanced mathematics and linear algebra in your hands right now, right now. Your parents spent their hard-earned money to send you here to study, not to let you read these things that will make you lose your ambition. On the podium, a beautiful teacher wearing glasses looked at the students below with a look of regret. She was so emotional that her face was undulating. The progress of cultivation is the last in the whole grade, the team battle results in the first half of the whole grade or the last, and the individual battle results in the first half of the semester or the last. This is the honor that your class 2 of grade 1 has won. You are really amazing. I, Lawani, have never seen a class worse than you. Lawani said angrily, and threw the report card in her hand on the podium. Bang! With a sound, the solid wood podium was cracked by her paper. The violent explosion made the students under the podium even more afraid to move. It's not necessary, Wani. There's no need to be so harsh on the children. A male teacher named Yiran tried to smooth things over and ease the atmosphere. However, Lawani, who was angry, did not appreciate it, but started to fire at Yiran directly. I've told you so many times that you should be qualified when you are working. Lawani glared at Yiran. Teacher Yi, as the acting head teacher of Class 2, Grade 1, you are responsible for the poor performance of this class. Lawani paused, hesitated for a moment, and said, the school board has revealed its cards to me today. If the performance of this class does not improve next semester, I can't protect you. You'd better take care of yourself. Finally, Lawani left Class 2, Grade 1 with a cold face. The beautiful figure wrapped in a professional skirt gradually disappeared at the door of the classroom. Yiran looked at Lawani's back helplessly. Which fool transferred Lawani to his grade as the dean of teaching? The days of slacking off are ruined. Yiran is a time traveler. In his previous life, he was working hard for the capitalists, but he died suddenly and traveled directly to this world. This world is a high-level martial arts world with awakened superpowers. This world does not popularize cultural science. Everyone can practice, and martial arts are respected. There are not only innate awakened superpowers, but also inheritors of aristocratic families. The levels of awakening superpowers are divided into F, E, D, C, B, A, S, SS, SSS, X. The strength levels are divided into black iron, brass, silver, gold, platinum, jade, and diamond. Above diamond, they are all extraordinary. Extraordinary people cannot use common sense to measure the level of their levels. They can only use destroying cities, slaughtering countries, and destroying the world to describe the threat of individual martial arts. And Yiran's identity in the time travel is the youngest son of the head of the Yi family, a famous family in Longguo. Although the body he traveled through has no talent for practice. Even with the Yi family's vast resources and top-level martial arts inheritance, he only cultivated to the silver level. But when his predecessor was an adult, he was arranged to be a teacher at the Magic City High Martial Arts College by virtue of his status as the young master of the Yi family. The Magic City High Martial Arts College is a famous high-level martial arts college in Longguo. The teachers who teach in this school have ridiculously high welfare resources and social status, and can also receive a considerable living allowance from the Yi family every month. After his rebirth, Yiran was naturally very satisfied. But all these good days were completely shattered after the school restructuring. In order to improve the school ranking, the Magic City High Martial Arts College began to reform the entire freshman year drastically. From then on, freshmen no longer had a casual and free college life. There were only classrooms, dormitories, and toilets, and linear movement between 3 points. Every day started with morning reading and ended with evening self-study. The assessment was also changed from an exam that was only once a year to a small exam once a month and a big exam every half a year. Not only the progress of cultivation is tested, but also the actual combat is tested. The actual combat is divided into group combat, individual combat. It is no exaggeration to say that this reminds Yiran of his miserable experience in high school in the 4 provinces of Shan. These assessments not only make students complain. What is even more excessive is that teachers also have to undergo KPI assessments. Any teacher who fails the assessment will be gradually downgraded. Yi Ran's official teacher status was gradually eroded by this cruel environment. He became an assistant teacher. And then, if this goes on, he might really become the first teacher to be fired from the Magic City High Martial Arts Academy. And the most unacceptable thing is that his identity as the young master of the Yi family can't keep his position at all. The reason is that the head of the freshman year is Luanyi. Luanyi was the child marriage arranged by the Yi family for Yi Ran. As a famous family, the little princess of the Li family. At a young age, her strength has broken through the platinum level and she was chosen by the ancestor of the Li family as the successor. Although the previous life's cultivation talent was too poor and Luanyi was too dazzling, the two families no longer mentioned this child marriage. But it happened after all. It can be said that if anyone in the entire Demon Clan High Martial Arts Academy fired Yi Ran, the Yi family would go to find a place. But Yi Ran was fired only by Luanyi. It is estimated that the Yi family can only smile and scold Yi Ran for being useless. What the hell is this? Reborn to be kicked out by a child bride. But I am quite handsome, not like the crooked-mouthed Dragon King. Yi Ran became more and more depressed the more he thought about it. It was hard for him to imagine how he would be treated after returning to the Yi family in this manner. Sometimes Yi Ran even suspected that his predecessor was driven to death by this cruel reality. But now is not the time to be depressed. The most urgent thing is to keep his position as a god. Yi Ran put his mood in order and showed a professional smile. Classmates. Just when he wanted to say something to motivate his students, the scene in the audience made Yi Ran silent. The students who were just trembling with fear at the shock of Luanyi. At this moment, took out magazines such as Linear Algebra and Advanced Mathematics again and began to read them with relish. Some even took out the outrageous entertainment magazine, 5 years of college entrance examination and 3 years of simulation, and did questions crazily. They didn't take themselves, the class teacher, seriously at all. At this moment, Yi Ran suddenly saw the rotten wood in a concrete form. Seeing this scene, Yi Ran was speechless. You will suffer for what you have done. In his previous life, he relied on his status as the young master of the Yi family. He was confident that the Magic City High Martial Arts Academy would not dare to expel him, and he was crazy about fishing. As a result, he was replaced by being the class teacher of the worst class in the whole grade. He wanted to rely on this class to turn over a new leaf and keep his immortal position. Yi Ran felt for a while that it would be better to think about how to write a moving letter to his dear father to move him, which might make him suffer less when he returned home. Just when Yi Ran was thinking of a corny beginning in his mind, a cold voice sounded in his mind. Ding! The master-teacher system has awakened, do you choose to accept it? System. Yi Ran listened to the cold voice in his mind, and his eyes lit up slightly. The arrival of this mechanical voice was just like the sun in early spring melting the snow. Making people feel comfortable. Yi Ran chose to activate the system without hesitation. Congratulations to the host, activating the master system. Closing square bracket. The master system is loading, please wait. The master system has been loaded successfully, and the host can see the advantages and disadvantages of the supernatural powers and skills displayed in front of him regardless of any conditions. The host will receive corresponding rewards while guiding him to correct his shortcomings and improve his strength. Current main task. Turn over a new leaf and lead the class to win the first place in the grade. The first ring of the main task. Guide a student. Master system. Yi Ran's eyes lit up slightly, and he found a pillow when he was sleepy. He looked at the students in the audience. Thought for a moment. Looked at the strongest student in his class, the monitor, Wang Dakin, who was sleeping in the last row. Dakin, don't sleep, come with me to the practice room. Oh, okay. Wang Dakin heard Yi Ran's order, rubbed his sleepy eyes, wiped his saliva, and followed Yi Ran out of the classroom happily, leaving only the students looking at each other in bewilderment. What happened? The class is not over yet, and Teacher Yi just left. Director Le just finished scolding, and Teacher Yi just left like that. Didn't you hear what Director Le said? If we are still the last this time, Teacher Yi will really pack up and leave. Just now I saw Teacher Yi wanted to say something, but in the end she didn't say anything. Is Teacher Yi really sad this time? Are we going a little too far? To be honest, although Teacher Yi is usually a bit pretentious, she is really good to us. Shouldn't we try harder? What are you thinking? Why are we in the same class? Don't you know? Relying on us to make progress is a dream. That's right, you can't help Teacher Yi even if you risk your life. Yeah, you're right. Sometimes the atmosphere of a class is like this. Once the group falls into a quagmire, even the slightest spark of a spark will be extinguished by the group instantly. The complex building of the Magic City High Martial Arts Academy. The Magic City government has invested heavily to build a world-class practice hall. The gravity room, test room, and magic forbidden room here are all rare things that you can't see outside. And without exception, all of them have been empowered by extraordinary masters. The cost of any one of them starts at 100 million, and the identity of the Magic City as a local tyrant as the economic leader is everywhere. At this time, Yi Ran and Wang Dakin were sitting opposite each other in the practice room. Dakin, you have been in magic martial arts for 2 years. Wang Dakin touched his head. Teacher Yi, I am a freshman this year. Yi Ran sighed. Dakin, have you forgotten that you have been held back a grade? Oh, hee, Teacher Yi, I forgot. Looking at Wang Dakin's silly look, Yi Ran shook his head helplessly. This child is good in everything, but a little honest. Wang Dakin looked at the teacher's frowning face and patted his chest confidently. Teacher Yi, don't worry. With me here, Director Le will definitely not be able to fire you. Yes, although I don't say anything, I know everything. Dakin was confident and looked like he was sure to win. He approached Yi Ran mysteriously. Teacher Yi, I have heard everything. Teacher Le looks fair and strict, but in private, Oh, this time it was Yi Ran's turn to be curious. Although in his impression, Le Wanyi was harsh and tyrannical, and she harmed her childhood marriage partner. But she was fair and just in her work. I have never heard of any black material about Le Wanyi. Wang Dakin looked at Yi Ran calmly. Teacher Yi, you are too noble and don't care about worldly affairs. What kind of society is this? Wang Dakin paused. I'm telling you, Teacher Yi, Director Le is a gold digger. Wang Dakin looked around mysteriously, then came closer and whispered. Teacher Yi, I may scare you by telling you this, but Director Lee's clothes don't look branded, but every piece of them is. No less than 100,000. She can't afford it with her salary. Quote. Yi Ran looked at Wang Dakin with a serious face, and had a bad feeling. So, Dakin, what are you going to do? Teacher Yi, I tell you, you take out your salary, and I will call on our class to raise some class fees. When the time comes, I will give Director Le a big gift in private, and she will definitely. Hee. Looking at Wang Dakin's smug face, Yi Ran didn't know why he felt tired in his heart. Using tens of thousands of yuan to bribe the little princess of a wealthy family, or to raise class fees. Are you anxious because I am not expelled? Dakin. What do you think, Teacher Yi, do you also think that I? Bang. Before Wang Dakin finished speaking, Yi Ran's slap had already exploded on Wang Dakin's head. Dakin, as a class monitor, not only do you not set an example, but you also think about these crooked ways. What on earth do you want to do? Quote. Wang Dakin covered his head in pain, looking at the righteous Yi Ran with grievance. Yi Ran was disappointed. Can't you think about how to practice well, how to improve your strength, and how to lead the whole class to improve their combat effectiveness? Wang Dakin listened to Yi Ran's words, his face full of disbelief. Who are you? You are not Teacher Yi. This is not a line that a teacher who can fall asleep in class can say. Yi Ran was embarrassed by Wang Dakin's shocked and suspicious eyes, coughed twice and continued. Usually, I raise you in a free way, just to let your nature be fully developed. Wang Dakin seemed to understand, and nodded. My set of ideas comes from the ancient great Lao Tzu's inaction and governance. You don't understand, I don't blame you. Inaction governance is the governance of the saints, scattered in the heart, changed in the truth, fill their belly, strengthen their bones, the heart is boundless, then great success in the sky. But, Yi Ran turned around, ruling by doing nothing will eventually return to ruling. You have been doing nothing for so long. As your mentor, it is time for me to guide you. Yi Ran spoke clearly about the Dao Te Ching. In addition to Yi Ran's handsome appearance and extraordinary temperament, he stood out as a hermit. Wang Dakan didn't quite understand, but for some reason he felt it made sense. Could it be that Teacher Yi is really a hermit in the city? As soon as he thought of this, Wang Dakan immediately shook his head and denied his own idea. It is impossible that others don't know what level Teacher Yi is. A teacher who can fall asleep in class. This image is too deeply rooted in Wang Dakan's heart. Don't stand there. Yi Ran's words interrupted Wang Dakan's thoughts. Come on, show me a set. Teacher, are you sure? Quote. Dakan hesitated. He looked at Yi Ran with a puzzled face. Today's Teacher Yi was particularly abnormal. No, it should be said that he was too normal. Normal was a little too abnormal. Just hit me when I told you to. What are you talking about? Oh, okay. Honest Wang Dakan stood still, closed his eyes and concentrated. Red light and shadow began to appear behind him. A huge beast began to transform on his body. Wang Dakan's whole body began to swell. He was already tall and strong, and he jumped directly to 3 meters high. Red scales, strong limbs, heavy breath, fierce fangs, and a huge pig head. This is Wang Dakan's ability. A-level alienation ability, devouring ferocious pigs. Teacher Yi, I'm going to start. The alienated Wang Dakan said in a muffled voice. Then he attacked the test robot. The test was in the air, and the test robot retreated 3 meters. Wang Dakan sank his chi into his dantian and took a step forward. The huge weight shook the whole training room 3 times. He stretched out his right hand and attacked forward. The seemingly slow palm actually burst out with amazing power. With a bang, the test robot retreated 3 meters away. Then, the value of 508 was displayed on the screen. This is equivalent to the power of an adult wild elephant. Yi Ran has already turned on the master system. All the information of Wang Dakan has emerged in his mind. Wang Dakan, male, 20 years old. Awakened superpower. Swallowing fierce pig, A-level. Current technique. Magic City High Martial Arts Academy Physical Training 2.0 Public Version. Advantages. Great strength. Disadvantages. 1. The A-level superpower of this object, swallowing fierce pig, is special. It contains the blood of Teoti. Under the influence of Teoti, the ability to swallow the ferocious pig is difficult to play. 2. The technique is not suitable. The energy conversion rate of practice is too low, the energy consumption in actual combat is too high, and there is a tingling lesion in the 3rd meridian of the right arm. Guidance Plan. 1. Secondary evolution of superpower, specific optimization plan. 2. The practice technique is not suitable, specific optimization plan. So that's it. Looking at the analysis given to Wang Dakan by the system, Yi Ran recalled Wang Dakan's experience. As an A-level awakened superpower, Wang Dakan was also a genius picked out of thousands when he took the college entrance examination. The Magic City High Martial Arts Academy also spent a huge price to win over Wang Dakan. But who would have thought that Wang Dakan's ability would be so bizarre? It was clearly an A-level awakening ability, but with a huge amount of energy stones, his cultivation progress was also slow. And his progress was even worse than that of an E-level psychic. Not only that, Wang Dakan's actual combat ability, except for his great strength, did not show any special A-level talent at all. In response to this, the Magic City High Martial Arts Academy even invited a diamond-level master to personally teach Wang Dakan for a period of time. But in the end it still came to nothing. Slowly, Wang Dakan was identified as a waste by the school. Gradually became a repeater, and naturally came to his class. Yi Ran looked at Wang Dakan and sighed slightly. It seems that it is not Wang Dakan who is a waste, but the teachers of the Magic City High Martial Arts Academy who are waste. They almost buried a hidden genius in the bud. Teacher, is this attack okay? Wang Dakan looked at Yi Ran complacently, and was obviously quite satisfied with this value. Yi Ran glanced at the scorer and shook his head. Dakan, the power of your attack seems okay, but in the eyes of the teacher, you still have room for improvement. Impossible, Teacher Yi, I practiced this attack step by step with the top martial arts teacher in our school. Wang Dakan shook his head seriously. I throw a million punches every day. Whether it is the key points of the movements or the skills in breathing, I am 100% sure that it can be completely consistent with the requirements of our school's skills. Looking at the honest Wang Dakan refuting him, Yi Ran was not in a hurry. Dakan, I naturally believe that you can do what you say. What I want to say is not that there is a problem with your practice, but that there is a problem with the textbooks you are studying. Listening to Yi Ran's words, Wang Dakin's eyes almost popped out. Brother, people can be crazy, but not crazy. Although Wang Dakin respects his class teacher very much. But the physical training textbooks of the Magic City High Martial Arts College are specially compiled by the extraordinary martial arts saint of Longguo at a high price. Even the physical training teacher who taught me before was a diamond-level master. Now you, a silver-level instructor, actually said that there is a problem with the textbook. Teacher, why don't we take a break? Wang Dakin comforted Yi Ran. Director Le is just talking, we must have other ways. Obviously in Wang Dakin's eyes, Yi Ran was already a little babbling due to the high pressure from Le Wanyi. Yi Ran was not angry at Wang Dakin's distrust, but smiled slightly. He said calmly, Dakin, but everyone's physique and meridian direction are different. Although the universal exercises can adapt to most people, they cannot be perfectly matched, not to mention that there is a certain conflict between your meridians and exercises. But Teacher Yi, I practice the national education version of the textbook that everyone practices. This is the exercise personally compiled by the extraordinary martial arts saint of Longguo. Really, Yi? Yi Ran asked softly, why do you always feel a stinging pain in the third meridian of your right hand every time you perform a skill? This was like a bolt from the blue, hitting Wang Dakin, and his eyes widened. How? How do you know? He had never mentioned the pain in his meridians to anyone, and he had never even been to the infirmary. Yi Ran's eyes were as deep as the stars. I told you that there is a certain conflict between your meridians and the skill. Even if you use 12 points of strength, you can only achieve 8 points of effect. Not only that, if this goes on for a long time, your meridian may leave hidden dangers that cannot be restored. Wang Dakin was a little shocked. He originally thought that this stinging was because he worked too hard in his daily life. Now Yi Ran told him that it would cause permanent damage, and he was a little panicked. Teacher, then, what should I do? Try using your left hand. Yi Ran stopped at that point, with a sense of mystery. Left hand. Wang Dakin was stunned, but I have been practicing with my right hand. Wouldn't it be wrong to suddenly switch to my left hand? Whether it is right or not, you will know only after trying it. Yi Ran interrupted him. The tone was calm but with unparalleled confidence. Wang Dakin looked at Yi Ran in front of him in a daze. This calmness, this confidence. Is this still the head teacher who could fall asleep in class before? Could it be that my mentor is really a great hermit who lives in seclusion in the city? But modifying the technique is no joke. If something goes wrong, I will have sequelae and I will not be able to cry. Seeing Wang Dakin hesitant, Yi Ran decided to give it another push. Dakin, are you so afraid of change? Do you really want your arm to be disabled? Yi Ran's words were like a poisonous insect, tickling Wang Dakin's heart. After hesitating for a moment, Wang Dakin stood up. Teacher Yi, I believe you. As soon as he finished speaking, Wang Dakin stood in a horse stance. He slowly raised his left hand, and his left arm trembled a little. At this moment, he didn't know whether the trembling was due to nervousness or expectation. The next second, Wang Dakin's body swelled again. The purple beast was alienated again, covering his whole body. He slowly pushed out a palm with his left hand. The air seemed to be squeezed and deformed by a heavy invisible force, causing fluctuations before his palm wind was released. With a loud bang. At the moment of attack, this slow palm strike had a running afterimage. It was so fast that it even produced an amazing sonic boom. When the palm strike landed on the test robot, it was more dull and powerful than before. The primary test dummy was not repelled much this time. But cracks began to appear on its body. The numbers on the test screen began to spin wildly. When it finally stopped, 10-12, the huge red words stimulated Wang Dakin's nerves. With just 2 sentences of instruction, he actually hit a value far more than twice the previous one. Wang Dakin stood under the screen showing the test value. His eyes were wide open, as if they were about to pop out of his sockets in the next second. 10-12. He looked at the flashing number on the screen, his heart pounding, as if it was about to burst out of his throat. This. I typed it. Wang Dakin's voice trembled, his face full of disbelief. In the strength test, 1000 is the watershed between the silver level and the gold level. Wang Daken's value means that in terms of strength alone, he has reached the level of the initial gold level. But he knew that he had not yet broken through the silver level, and he had tried his best to hit a value of more than 500 a second ago. This is simply a miracle. Wang Daken looked at the wreckage of the robot and swallowed his saliva. The recognized geniuses of the same age in the academy, the young talents of the major families, were only at the initial stage of gold. Each of them was out of reach before. But now, within reach. The reality before him impacted Wang Daken's three views, and he was speechless. Yi Ran's eyes were as deep as the stars. He passed by Wang Daken, who was still in a daze, and walked to the test robot and gently touched the cracks of the test machine. Tisk tisk, the magic pattern alloy has been cracked, and the teachers in the material department must be hurt. Yi Ran patted the residue on his palm and stood up. Not bad, he said with satisfaction. The test robot didn't retreat a centimeter. This proves that the attack did not waste any power at all, and basically destroyed the body of the target. Your efficiency is now at least 70%. Quote. Hearing Yi Ran's evaluation, Wang Daken was even more shocked. Efficiency. 0.70%. Wang Daken muttered to himself. The efficiency of ordinary silver level is only about 30%. How many people train day after day and refine their movements, just to improve the efficiency of less than 1%? And now I have easily surpassed the students of the same level by so much. The reality before my eyes impacted Wang Daken's cognition. He was in turmoil. 2 sentences instructions, just 2 sentences of instructions. My strength was forcibly raised to this level. Wang Daken recalled his hard training day after day, year after year. There was a bitter taste in his mouth, and he felt that he had lived in vain for the past 10 years. What kind of skills were written by extraordinary masters? What kind of hands-on teachings by diamond-level masters? In front of teacher Yi Ran's instructions this time, it was simply a gnat seeing the blue sky. Teacher, is all this true? Although the results were in front of him, Wang Daken still kept doubting himself. What is true or false? Can't you see the results yourself? Quote. But, how can I do this with my level? Yi Ran looked at Wang Daken and shook his head. Although he had tapped into Wang Daken's physical potential, Wang Daken still lacked one thing. Sharpness. The long-term life of a loser has worn down Wang Daken's sharpness. If this continues, even if he is talented, he will still become a loser after a long time, and be indistinguishable from the crowd. This is not the result. I have been working so hard for so long, I have to give this kid a strong medicine. Daken, you can lie to others, but you don't have to lie to yourself. Yi Ran interrupted Wang Daken directly. His eyes were sharp, as if he could see directly into Wang Daken's heart. Daken, as far as I know, you sleep during the day and secretly practice boxing in the training room at night. Think about it carefully. You throw those millions of punches every day, relying on 3 part-time jobs in exchange for other people's energy stone quotas, and work hard in places where others can't see. Quote. Yi Ran patted Wang Daken's face. Ask yourself, do you really think you are a loser? Wake up. Cross-level challenges should be the normal state of A-level awakeners. Those mediocre teachers made a mistake. Don't let their mistakes shackle you. Quote. A-level awakeners are originally 1 in a million geniuses who can challenge cross-level challenges. It's just that Wang Daken, this pearl, has been covered in dust for too long, so he himself has forgotten what a genius should look like. From today on, straighten your back and let the entire Magic City High Martial Arts Academy take a good look at your genius, Wang Daken. You should be the brightest star in the whole freshman year. Quote. Yi Ran's words pierced Wang Daken's heart like an arrow. Teacher Yi. Wang Daken listened to Yi Ran's words, his eyes slightly reddened. Looking back, in just 2 years, Wang Daken fell from the much-anticipated rising star to the trash that everyone disliked. From being the center of attention to being pointed at. From being the focus of training to being a repeater in the worst class in the grade. Wang Daken, who was less than 20 years old, had experienced the warmth and coldness of human nature. Waste that occupies school resources. Trash that is not worthy of the position. Why don't you drop out of school quickly? These rumors tortured his heart all the time. Facing the pressure of public opinion, Wang Daken slowly became numb. Numbly deceiving himself as a bit of trash. He was so numb that he turned from a high-spirited, confident and motivated boy into a simple, honest and bullied fool. But only Dakin himself knew how unwilling he was in his heart. So he secretly punched day after day, worked frugally, and humbly exchanged for other people's energy stone quotas. Because his heart was still longing. He longed for one day to see the light through the clouds. Even if it was just a little bit of light. Now, it's been almost 2 years. Finally someone made him see the light in this bottomless quagmire. Finally someone wiped off the dirt on himself and told the world that he was not trash, but a treasure. Others abandoned me like a worn-out shoe, now someone picked me up like a pearl. At this moment, the numb and hard shell in his heart was shattered by a blow. A wave of bitterness surged into his heart. Teacher Yi, I'm sorry, woo. The suppressed low sob came out of Wang Dakin's throat. A big and strong man sobbed and couldn't say a complete sentence. Yi Ran looked at this honest child. He didn't do anything, just watched Wang Dakin choking quietly. Men don't shed tears easily. But there are 2 times when tears come, but they are not embarrassing. One is the death of a loved one, and the other is the sweet after bitter. Just when Yi Ran was silently accompanying Wang Dakin, the voice of the system suddenly appeared. Ding, congratulations to the host for successfully completing the task, instructing a student, and sending release this guidance reward. Closing square bracket. Ding, congratulations to the host, you have received a bronze level lottery ticket. Closing square bracket. Ding, it is detected that the teaching object has high respect for the host, whether to bind as a direct disciple. Closing square bracket. Direct disciple. Perhaps it is to detect the doubt in Yi Ran's mind, the system automatically explained. The host will automatically receive a reward of 10% of the direct disciple's practice progress every day. Closing square bracket. In addition, if the direct disciple has a major breakthrough, the host will receive a corresponding reward. Closing square bracket. After listening to the introduction, Yi Ran nodded in his mind. Ding, congratulations to the host for receiving a direct disciple. Closing square bracket. Instantly, Yi Ran felt an inexplicable connection with Wang Dakin. His breath became much more condensed. There was a faint sign of breaking through the silver level. This should be the bonus of Wang Dakin's practice progress to himself. Ding, it is detected that the host has completed the achievement task. Collect direct disciples 1/1 and this lottery ticket begins to be specially upgraded. Closing square bracket. Ding, this lottery ticket has been specially upgraded to a color lottery ticket, which can draw a special color treasure chest. Do you want to open it? Closing square bracket. Yi Ran was a little surprised. I didn't expect that I would inspire Wang Dakin. Not only did I gain an A-level disciple, but I also completed a hidden task. Open. Yi Ran made a choice silently in his mind. Ding, opening a special color treasure chest. Closing square bracket. Ding, congratulations to the host for obtaining the legendary physique, the innate Taoist body. The system has just finished speaking, and it is not easy to be exhausted. As soon as the system finished speaking, Yi Ran felt a silent and invisible rhythm constantly washing his body. The invisible rhythm penetrated his skin, resonated with his body. The body gradually emitted a faint halo, and then disappeared. The rhythm flashed by. Yi Ran only felt that his body gradually became tougher, and his flesh was constantly expanding with endless explosive power. His 5 senses also became extremely sharp, and he could even sense the weak fluctuations of someone walking outside the test room. At this moment, every move he made had a sense of the rhythm of the great Tao. Yi Ran was a little surprised. It turned out to be the innate Tao body. The innate Tao body is said to be invulnerable to all methods. One of the physiques that practitioners dream of, the darling of the true law and the avenue, the pinnacle of enlightenment. In front of the innate Tao body, there is no bottleneck in practice. The efficiency of practice is far beyond that of ordinary people. It is a heaven-defying physique known as a direct train to transcendence and sainthood. Not only that, Yi Ran moved his mind. A dark green flame instantly lit up in his body. This is the practice inherited by the Yi family, the Black Dragon spiritual art. The practitioner ignites the fire of life, awakens the power of the Black Dragon in the blood, protects the body, and can also get out of the body and transform into wind, fire, thunder and lightning, or various weapons to attack. The Yi family is therefore called the offensive kaleidoscope. The dark green flame rose up. Looking at its rising momentum, it was more than 3 times higher than before. As expected, the innate Tao body's talent in energy utilization is far superior to that of ordinary people. The same trick used by the innate Tao body is several times more powerful than that of ordinary people. Hanging on the wall. This is the only adjective that Yi Ran can think of after understanding the innate Tao body. Yi Ran tested the strength of the innate Tao body. Wang Dakin's eyes were a little confused. Teacher Yi was still the same Teacher Yi. But for some reason, Yi Ran's every move at this moment made him feel comfortable and natural. Even if he looked at Teacher Yi more, he felt that his practice progress had accelerated a little. Wang Dakin naturally didn't know that Yi Ran was now a congenital Tao body. When Yi Ran exerted his innate Tao body with all his strength, his body was full of the rhythm of the great Tao, which naturally made the practitioners feel comfortable and natural. Wang Dakin didn't know this, but he was deeply impressed by this feeling. Because during the special college entrance examination, he was seduced by the principal of the Magic City High Martial Arts College with a similar temperament. Even the principal's temperament is not as natural and pure as Yi Ran's at this moment. Thinking of this, Wang Dakin instantly stood in awe. It seems that the whole school has made a mistake. Teacher Yi is definitely a master. It seems that Teacher Yi is really keeping a low profile, and now he is ready to make a splash. When he thought about facing such a master, he actually gave advice to bribe Luwanyi and go down the 3 roads. Wang Dakin was filled with shame. Teacher Yi, I'm really fool, I actually came up with such a bad idea of asking you to bribe Director La. Yi Ran, who was still immersed in the innate Taoism monster, was brought back to reality by Wang Dakin's apology. Yi Ran waved his hand. Remember what I said, improving strength is the right way. Students remember it in their hearts. Wang Dakin's eyes were firm. Teacher, don't worry, students will risk their lives to win the first place for our class. Yi Ran smiled at Wang Dakin. Teacher, I understand, but there are many monsters this year, so there is no need to work hard to get the first place. Wang Dakin shook his head seriously. I, Dakin, am stupid, but I am not stupid. Among all the teachers, only Teacher Yi has never despised me and gave me a chance to start over. My mother said that women dress up to please themselves. No, anyway, I, Dakin, will follow the teacher in the future. In short, I will give my life to the teacher. Yi Ran listened to Wang Dakin's pronunciation and frowned. What do I need your life for? Although Wang Dakin's loyal speech focused on cultural level, but the sincerity in it was true. No wonder the system said that Wang Dakin was highly respected. Yi Ran looked at Wang Dakin with a sincere face and thought for a while. Then the next thing is easy to say. After all, the system not only provides optimization solutions for the exercises but also optimization solutions for superpowers. It's just that this optimization solution for superpower evolution is a bit outrageous. If it hadn't been laid out like this before, Yi Ran wouldn't have. I can guarantee that Wang Dakin can really do it. Dakin, the technique has indeed been optimized, but do you feel that you only rely on your physical fitness as an A-level awakener? In fact, your own superpowers don't seem to be used much. When Yi Ran said this, Wang Dakin's mind sank slightly. It was indeed the same as what Yi Ran said. Although he could achieve such a strong result, his superpowers still had no use and change. Alienated superpowers can allow the awakener to obtain various attributes and abilities of alienated beasts. In theory, the devouring boar is a high-level beast. Its strong defense and huge strength have always been its 2 major features. There is also the terrifying racial talent skill, devouring charge. But all these abnormal talents, except for a little bit of strength increase, the rest seem to have nothing to do with Wang Dakin. And the degree of strength increase is pitiful, not as much as some E-level strength superpowers. Not only that, Wang Dakin's progress in cultivation has never been much faster because of his A-level supernatural talent. He is even a little slower than low-level supernatural people. If this continues, even if he can barely catch up with the first echelon with the optimized skills and A-level physical fitness, but the lack of supernatural effects will eventually make his strength fall behind. Wang Dakin still smiled innocently. Teacher, our school has tried many ways to deal with my supernatural defect, but they all failed. I don't care anymore. Wang Dakin has suffered a lot, so he can see it clearly. But Yi Ran shook his head and said seriously word by word. How can my students be worse than others? The old man was very happy, but he was not very happy. Listening to Yi Ran's speech, Wang Dakin's depressed heart was lifted again. He couldn't believe it, and even spoke a little stumblingly. Teacher Yi, do you really have a way? Yi Ran looked at Wang Dakin. Dakin, do you believe in your teacher? Since Teacher Yi can correct the skills compiled by the extraordinary master, maybe his supernatural powers can also. Thinking of this, Wang Dakin was a little excited. Such a precious opportunity, he definitely didn't want to miss it. Wang Dakin nodded frantically. Teacher Yi, I believe it. I will do whatever you say now. Quote. Yi Ran looked at Wang Dakin's excited expression and said, Dakin, I know that many people have studied your ability before. They put forward this idea and that suggestion. In the final analysis, they should all think that your ability is defective and suggest that you increase energy absorption. Quote. It seems so. Wang Dakin recalled his previous experience. It's totally wrong. Yi Ran interrupted Wang Dakin's recollection. They were wrong from the beginning. Yi Ran categorically denied everyone's previous judgment. Yi Ran said confidently, Dakin, your ability is definitely not defective. Yi Ran patted Wang Dakin on the shoulder. The reason why you can't use your ability is because the devouring ferocious pig you awakened contains some higher level blood. The suppression of that blood makes it difficult to use the devouring ferocious pig ability. In other words, your ability is not only not defective, but too good. Listening to Yi Ran's words, Wang Dakin was completely stunned. Teacher, are you sure you are not kidding? This is like a person who is obviously lying on a hospital bed, and suddenly a doctor comes to tell you that you are not only not sick, but also have good physical fitness to participate in the Olympics. Any normal person who hears this kind of words, the first thing he should doubt is whether this doctor is a serious doctor. Seeing that Wang Dakin still couldn't believe it, Yi Ran walked up and patted Wang Dakin on the shoulder. Dakin, believe in your judgment, you are a pearl covered in dust, a real extraordinary reserve. You are the S-level 1 in a million. S-level. Wang Dakin listened to Yi Ran's bold words and his breathing became a little rapid. Although it is said that A-level awakeners practice fast and have strong strength, they are still in the human category and can barely be called the pinnacle of human genius. But for S-level talents, everyone will only curse and throw a word of monster, and then avoid them as far as possible, for fear that these monsters will hit their self-esteem in practice. Because no matter in terms of practice speed or strength, these monsters are existences that ordinary people cannot understand. Among the top 10 in the current Dragon Country New Generation Heroes ranking, 9 are inheritors of major families and super forces, and the remaining one is an S-level awakener. Moreover, this S-level awakener has been ranked first for several months. With his personal talent, he has suppressed the millennium inheritance of all superpowers. You can imagine how evil the S-level talent is. Wang Dakin's eyes began to turn red, and even his breathing became heavier. If someone told you that there was a chance to ascend to the gods, who wouldn't be excited? So, teacher, what should I do? Yi Ran waved his hand. It's very simple, the second awakening. Yi Ran's light words, like thunder in the plain, awakened Wang Dakin who was still in fantasy. He looked at Yi Ran with incredible eyes. Second awakening, very simple. Even though Wang Dakin's cultural level was extremely poor, he still couldn't connect these two words together. Because the second awakening was too difficult. The closest one was the second awakening led by the Superpower Alliance. That is, the current Xiao Wang of the Superpower Alliance, one of the strongest supernaturals in the contemporary era. Absolute power, Andrew. It is said that in order to help Andrew's second awakening, the Superpower Alliance attacked a demon's territory, and killed the Jack of Hearts, Jack of Spades and Queen of Diamonds, 3 diamond-level flower cards. Fortunately, they successfully exchanged for a strong man who could stand at the top of the world. In a sense, the Superpower Alliance was successful, but it was also a miserable victory. Teacher, I'll continue to practice boxing. Don't worry, I just need to work harder than usual. You can still stand out. Dakin, don't you believe in your master? No, Teacher Yi, it's just that the difficulty of the second awakening is too great, there is really no need. Facing the second awakening, Superpowers like the Ability Alliance have to do their best and risk their lives to achieve tragic success. Now they want to awaken again with just 2 silver-level shrimps. Wang Dakan felt a little whimsical. Who knew that Yiran didn't care about Wang Dakan's concerns? He waved his hand. Dakan, your understanding of the second awakening is too superficial. Quote. Superficial. There are only a few times when the second awakening succeeded, and every time it was tragic and heroic. Why is it wrong with Teacher Yi? Wang Dakan was a little confused. In less than a few hours of communication with Teacher Yi, his 3 views and cognition were repeatedly trampled. The way of second awakening varies from person to person. Many of them are indeed extremely difficult. You have to get involved and go through a catastrophe. But you, Dakan, don't need it. Yiran talked freely. I don't need it. Wang Dakan murmured to himself. Yes, you don't need it. Yiran repeated his conclusion again, and his voice seemed to have magic, reconstructing Wang Dakan's cognition. Then teacher, what should I do next? Quote. The constant cleansing of cognition made Wang Dakan gradually have a blind trust in Yiran. Yiran pondered. Although your second awakening does not require such a great sacrifice, from today on, you must comply with my 3 requirements. Once you violate the requirements once, the chance of a second awakening will be ruined. Not only that, you will not have any chance to awaken again in the future. Do you understand? Yiran's tone was serious. Seeing Yiran so serious, Wang Dakan also straightened up unconsciously. Please rest assured, teacher, any of my future actions will be in accordance with what you said. If there is any abnormal behavior, I will bring my head to see. Then Yiran stretched out a finger to Wang Dakan. First, the teacher asks you to stop all energy stone absorption from today. Can you do it? Listening to Yiran's words, Wang Dakan was slightly stunned. Although he didn't know why, he nodded seriously. Understand, teacher, I can do it. Quote. Yiran looked at Wang Dakan's response and stretched out his second finger. Second, from today on, I ask you to eat 30 kilograms of meat every day. Can you do it? Wang Dakan felt a little dizzy when he heard this. The energy density of energy stones is many times higher than that of meat. Isn't this putting the cart before the horse? Although he didn't know what Teacher Yi was up to, Wang Dakan still nodded seriously. Teacher, no problem, I can do it. 30 kilograms of meat may be a lot for ordinary people, but it is relatively easy for a superpower to achieve. Looking at Wang Dakan's relaxed expression, Yiran stretched out his 3rd finger. Next, this is the last requirement. If you can do it, the second awakening is definitely not a problem. Yiran's words aroused Wang Dakan's fighting spirit. No problem, Teacher Yi, you tell me, I can definitely do it. Quote. The first 2 are so simple, how difficult can the last request of Teacher Yi be? Yiran looked at Wang Dakan seriously and said slowly. Master requires that these 30 kilograms of meat must be raw meat with blood, and this meat must come from monsters. Can you do it? As soon as these words came out, the confidence on Wang Dakan's face disappeared without a trace. There was a big question mark in his shocked eyes. 30 kilograms a day, raw meat with blood, or from monsters. Teacher, if you raise livestock like this, the livestock will die. The request was really incredible. Even kindergarten children in this world know that eating raw monster meat will make people crazy. Eating a lot of it may even be life-threatening. Eating 30 kilograms of bloody raw monster meat every day. This is no longer a question of whether you are crazy or not, but a question of where to bury it. A normal person would probably have started to criticize Yiran in his heart. But Wang Dakan was only shocked for a moment, and then said to Yiran. Teacher, I'll go get the meat now. The tone was calm, as if he was preparing an ordinary lunch. Seeing Wang Dakan's calm appearance, Yiran couldn't help but be curious. Dakan, you don't have any doubts in your heart. This is raw meat of monsters. You might go crazy if you eat it. Faced with Yiran's question, Wang Dakan nodded seriously. Teacher Yi, of course I know. When I was a child, someone in our village accidentally ate raw meat of monsters. Now the grass on the grave is 2 meters high. So you just agreed? Yiran asked curiously. Wang Dakan's reaction was really a little too calm. It was so calm that Yiran suspected that this guy was planning to say one thing and not do it behind his back. Wang Dakan looked at Yiran, his clear eyes revealed his honesty. He touched the back of his head embarrassedly. "Ah, isn't this what you ordered, Teacher Yi?" Listening to Wang Dakin's simple answer, Yi Ran was slightly stunned and couldn't help laughing. This time, he became a villain's heart. Yi Ran looked at the honest Wang Dakin in front of him, and felt a little warm in his heart. Having lived 2 lives, he had been an adult for a long time. Rarely could he feel such pure trust. Yi Ran patted Wang Dakin on the shoulder. "Work hard, believe in me, and you will be reborn in less than a month." Listening to Yi Ran's encouragement, Wang Dakin nodded seriously. "Okay, Teacher Yi, I will do it seriously." The more Yi Ran looked at Wang Dakin, the more satisfied he was. Which teacher would not be proud to have a student who is willing to trust him so much? With a student like Wang Dakin, the individual battle results of this final exam are at least guaranteed. Watching Wang Dakin leave, Yi Ran also packed up and prepared to go back to the classroom. There is still a month before the end of the semester. It is not enough to have only one student who is outstanding. In addition to individual battles, there are also group battles in the final exam. I have to work harder and try to find a few more geniuses from the class. However, Wang Dakin could tell that there should be many talented youngsters waiting to be discovered in his class. After all, Magic City High Martial Arts College is one of the top 10 colleges in the country. When the students first came in, they were all gifted. As for why they came to his class, they should all have their own stories. Thinking of this, Yi Ran couldn't help but touch his chin, with anticipation in his eyes. At this moment, in the office of the teaching department, Lu Wanyi was correcting documents at her desk. Today, she was in a bad mood, and her handwriting was a little flamboyant. She got angry when she thought about standing on the podium of Class 2, Grade 1, and looking at the students who didn't work hard. And Yi Ran, his grades were a mess. But he was still there, acting as a peacemaker. HMPH, Stinky Yi Ran, how can you still laugh when you are in such a state? When she thought of this, Lu Wanyi sulked to herself, and her slightly puffed cheeks brought a hint of playfulness to this cold face. Thinking of Yi Ran's indifferent face, the so-called face, Lu Wanyi still couldn't help frowning. "You really don't know why I came here," Lu Wanyi murmured to herself, staring at a doll on the desk in a trance. It was a cute little girl pottery doll. This was a gift from Yi Ran to herself, and Lu Wanyi always carried it with her. Bang, bang, bang. A quick knock on the door interrupted Lu Wanyi's thoughts. Lu Wanyi also instantly returned to the aura of a cold and strong woman. "Come in." The person who came in was Lu Wanyi's assistant, Wang Xiaoman. Followed by a fat man, the person in charge of the freshman materials department, Shu Yukai. "Director La, Teacher Shu has an urgent matter to report to you." "Teacher Shu, rare guest. Ah, you usually avoid our academic affairs office, why did you come to us today?" The academic affairs and finance departments of Magic City High Martial Arts College are separated, and the two sides usually check and balance each other to ensure the smooth operation of the school. Lu Wanyi gestured to Wang Xiaoman to pour water, and looked at Shu Yukai on the side with some curiosity. Shu Yukai, with his big belly, said in his unique southern accent, "Director La, you are being too formal, aren't you? I'm a curry gong. We are all in the same grade, so it's natural for us to move around more." Lu Wanyi blew the floating tea in the teacup a little. "I'm afraid that our Shu Degongji has come here specifically to deduct the supplies for our freshmen." "Director La, I'm a curry gong, what are you talking about? I, Shu Yukai, have shed my blood for our freshmen, and I am passionate about teachers and students." "Director La, you are chilling the hearts of loyal ministers. Quote, if you are too nice to someone, you are either a traitor or a thief." Lu Wanyi squinted her eyes and looked at Shu Yukai. "How can I trust you, Shu Yukai, when you have to haggle with our academic affairs office for a long time even for an eraser? Tell me, what are you doing here today?" Shu Yukai wiped the sweat from his face and smiled awkwardly. "Director La, if you say so, I do have a little favor that I need your help with." "What are you talking about, Director Shu? You see, the windows in our academic affairs office are really a bit shabby, and the air is leaking so much that I can't hear you clearly." Quote. Before Shu Yukai finished speaking, Lu Wanyi interrupted him. Shu Yukai looked at Lu Wanyi and remained silent. The windows of the academic affairs office are made of alloy. How could there be a ghost hole? Looking at Lu Wanyi's attitude, Shu Yukai's heart sank slightly. It's over, it's over. It seems that if I don't spend some blood today, this matter can't be done. Shu Yukai looked embarrassed and said with some pain. I couldn't approve the maintenance funds for the Academic Affairs Office last time. Director La, you really need to help me. Lawani still smiled and looked at Shu Yukai, who was in pain, but she was still unmoved. Shu Yukai saw that it was not possible, so he took a deep breath. He covered his heart with his fat palm. He looked sad, gritted his teeth, and stretched out a finger. Director La, I also approve the 3,000 black dragon flesh and blood you applied for last time. This is the last bottom line. Quote. After hearing the answer she was satisfied with, Lawani finally spoke. Tell me, what's the matter? Shu Yukai looked at Lawani with some resentment. Director La, I'm not saying anything bad about you, but how can you be so thrifty as a girl who hasn't married yet? Whoever marries you will enjoy 8 lifetimes of happiness. Do you still need help? Help, help. Shu Yukai hurriedly took out the tablet and quickly handed it to Lawani, as if he was afraid that Lawani would change her mind. Lawani took the tablet curiously and looked at the content in it. Shu Yukai, who was standing aside, had a face full of resentment and couldn't help complaining. I don't know which god Lin Bei offended today. Today, a young man actually broke the magic pattern alloy robot. How expensive is that thing? Our material department's annual performance will be lost. Quote. Director La, you have to sign for us. We in the materials department really didn't cut corners on this magic pattern alloy. Shu Yukai stood aside and kept complaining like a grudge, fearing that Lawani would not give him a signature to prove it. But Lawani stared at the picture on the tablet, not listening to what Shu Yukai was saying at all. The broken magic pattern alloy robot. The value of 10-12. Or in the training room exclusively for freshmen. Any experienced instructor knows what it means when these 3 conditions are met at the same time. Lawani's eyes were shining with brilliance. She put down the tablet, stared at Shu Yukai, and said word by word. Tell me, where is this person? Lawani's aura was fully open. She was completely unaware that the aura of the platinum level had filled the entire venue. Wang Xiaoman couldn't help but stand near the door. And Shu Yukai, the center of this mental storm. His fat round face, there was also a slight feeling of shortness of breath. Finally, he had to take out a mask shining with golden light from his pocket like a magic trick. After Shu Yukai put on the mask, the golden light emitted from the mask blocked Lawani's the momentum. Shu Yukai was relieved, and then he spoke. Director La, don't be so emotional, let's talk nicely. As a teacher in the materials department, he only cares about finances and not the cultivation of students, but seeing Lawani was so emotional that he could only keep comforting her. Looking at Shu Yukai's golden mask, Lawani curled her lips and complained, gold-level consumables are used like this, the supplies department is really extravagant. Then, Lawani adjusted her mood and retracted her momentum. Say well, where is that student? Shu Yukai listened to Lawani's words and said sadly, it would be better if you didn't say it. It's really a shame if you said it. I'm telling you, we suffered a huge loss today. Not only was the magic pattern alloy broken, but the camera in our practice room was also broken. Quote. If I knew which student did this, I would definitely find trouble with him. I'll tell you. Shu Yukai was still standing by cursing. Lawani seemed to be thinking about something. Then, she signed the document sent by Shu Yukai with a big stroke of her pen and handed the document to Shu Yukai. Okay, I'll sign the certificate for you. Shu Yukai didn't know why Lawani signed it so readily. But this was a good thing. Shu Yukai, who was still full of grief and anger the previous second, was immediately filled with he smiled. Director La is really decisive. Welcome to come and play when you are free. As he said this, he hurried up to get it, fearing that Lawani would regret it. Sure enough, when Shu Yukai was about to touch the file, Lawani holding the document in hand. Lawani said to Shu Yukai seriously, I haven't finished speaking yet. As the dean of the first grade, I can sign for you, but I need you to promise me one thing. Quote. Director La, that's fine. As long as you don't ask for our money, we'll sell it even if it's 100 pieces. Shu Yukai stared at the files being held down were like a monkey that couldn't be tickled. Lawani smiled and said, Don't worry, I don't want the money from the materials department. I need you to give me the source files of all the records of the freshman's entry and exit of the practice room today, and delete all backups. Quote. Hearing this, Shu Yukai looked up at Lawani, a little embarrassed. Director La, I'm afraid this is a bit against the rules. Lawani heard Shu Yukai say this. Palm with a little force, the neat certificate began to wrinkle. Ah, Director La, you can't do this. You can't do this. I promised you that I can't do this. After hearing this, Lawani finally let go, and Shu Yukai finally after getting the certificate, I spread the paper on the table with a distressed look on my face. Director La, we have an agreement. I will claim that this source file is damaged just like the surveillance equipment, but you must keep it confidential. Shu Yukai handed the record to Lawani. Don't worry, Director Shu, I'm Lawen. Has Wani ever cheated anyone? Welcome back, Director Shu. Quote. Oh, that's enough, I will never come to the Academic Affairs office again. Quote. After saying that, Shu Yukai left the Academic Affairs office as if he was running away. Lawani, this little girl, looks young, but she is very ruthless and can't leave without being skinned every time she comes here. Watching Shu Yukai leave, Lawani played with the source file in her hand thoughtfully. Master, what do we need this source file for? Assistant Wang Xiaoman asked when there was no one around. Modu High Martial Arts Academy stipulates that Platinum, a mentor of a top-level expert, can accept a direct disciple. Wang Xiaoman is Lawani's best friend and direct disciple. She usually assists with work under the title of assistant. Naturally, the two of them have a much closer relationship than usual. Lawani looked at Wang Xiaoman at a glance. Go and take a look at the photo Shu Yukai sent. Wang Xiaoman took a look at the photo, then covered her mouth in surprise. 10-12. We have another genius in our freshman year. Congratulations, Master, our freshman's strength has reached a new level. But you won't risk violating the rules. Look at the picture again, what else do you see? Wang Xiaoman looked carefully and then said, the magic pattern alloy was broken. It seems that our genius has reached the middle level of the gold rank. Lawani shook her head. Wrong, it's the silver rank. Listening to Lawani's words, Wang Xiaoman was a little surprised. How is this possible? Magic pattern alloy, which is said to be an absolutely indestructible metal below the gold rank, how could it be broken by a silver rank person? Lawani asked back. If you were the attacker, using the same means to attack, and wanted to break the magic pattern alloy with one blow, to what position would the test robot at least retreat? Quote. Wang Xiaoman is a genius, after all. She knew the result with a brief rehearsal in her mind. When she calculated the result and looked at the photo again, the shock in her eyes gradually emerged. She said bitterly, at least it should retreat more than half of the test robot in the photo. So, in other words, the energy efficiency of this tester. That's right, Lawani said lightly, the energy efficiency of this tester must be at least 70% to cause such damage to the magic pattern alloy in such a short repulsion distance. Quote. Speaking of this, she took a deep breath, with an incredible look in her eyes. So, the energy efficiency of this tester is at least what a diamond-level expert can do. When the conclusion came out, Wang Xiaoman was so shocked that she couldn't speak. A silver-level student, the energy efficiency is already comparable to those unattainable masters. Such solid basic skills, such understanding of the skills, and such a degree of fit with the skills. It is no longer 1 in a million, but 1 in a million. Lawani continued. With such energy efficiency alone, in the confrontation of the same level, it is absolutely invincible, and can even be 1 against 10 or 1 against 100. After all, there was a precedent for such a thing in our school before. Lawani narrowed her eyes slightly, as if recalling something. That precedent is the current new generation of S-level legendary awakeners, who suppressed this generation of clans and families and could not raise their heads. Zhang Hidong, who is invincible at the same level. Quote. Wang Xiaoman was a little excited, and even her breathing became a little rapid. Master, this information cannot be leaked. We must find this freshman as soon as possible. Once the news spreads, not only will those old guys in the school who don't care about the world be restless, but also those forces outside the school will be ready to move. Who in the world cannot be tempted by the second Zhang Hidong? So you think that just a genius is worth my mobilization? Lawani fiddled with the file in her hand. The news can't be blocked. According to the way those idiots in the material department handled it, it is estimated that this photo will be popular on the forum tomorrow, but fortunately the surveillance video is lost, and the only entry and exit records are still with me, so we have the upper hand. Quote. Then, Lawani flipped through the entry and exit records. When she saw the record of Grade 1, Class 2, she was slightly stunned. But she shook her head and thought. What was she thinking? How could such a genius come from Iran's class? Xiao Man, don't worry about Grade 1, Class 2. From today on, pay close attention to Grade 1, Class 1 and Grade 1, Class 5. We must find this monster as soon as possible. Quote. Okay, Master. Quote. The incident was just as Lawani had expected. The teachers in the materials department had no idea what the photo meant. They also let people watch the practice room at will. For a while, the matter of the damage to the magic pattern alloy test robot in the freshman practice room began to be widely discussed in the school forum. Shocked, another monster appeared in the freshman year. My buddy had some insights today, and I tried it out. How would you rate the result? I'm not pretending anymore. I'm going to show my cards. I broke the magic pattern alloy with one punch. Rumor has it that a master has come out of retreat and asked for someone from the materials department. Severely condemn the materials department for cutting corners and embezzling money. The titles are more exaggerated than the last, but the videos in the posts are real. The incident became a hot topic on the school forum, and even the training room became a check-in spot. At first, it was just circulated and discussed among students. But as the matter fermented, the masters at the core gradually began to pay attention to it. In a master courtyard of the Magic City High Martial Arts Academy, the leader of the fire sect, the diamond level Huo Wen, scolded his beloved disciple Huang Dongdong like a son. Master asked you to practice well, but you actually cheated and looked at your phone. Master, I didn't. I was paying attention to the dynamics of competitors. You still dare to be stubborn. Who in your circle has nothing to do to post dynamics online? Really, Master, I'll beat you to death. The hot-tempered Huo Wen naturally didn't tolerate it. With a single wave of his hand, Huang Dongdong's buttocks were full of flames. Huang Dongdong sat on the ground in pain to put out the fire. HMPH, you practice sloppily, and you still have time to chat and gossip here. Huo Wen scolded his disciple. Today, your master will take you to practice the 36 fire techniques again. As a result, Huang Dongdong took out his mobile phone with grievance. No, master, look at this. What a fuss, your master has been traveling all over the country for so many years, and I have seen all kinds of strange things. When can you learn to be steady like your master? Seeing that Huang Dongdong insisted on giving it to him, Huo Wen could only take Huang Dongdong's mobile phone unhappily. But when he saw the photo of the test robot in the forum, Huo Wen stopped talking. He had thick eyebrows and big eyes, and his eyes were wide open. His eyes slowly changed from calm to shock, slowly from shock to disbelief, and finally sublimated to fanaticism. The master's steadiness was not visible at all, and Huo Wen was so excited that he seemed to have a second spring. Laymen watch the excitement, while experts watch the doorway. Lawani can see the amazingness of this tester at a glance, let alone Huo Wen, who is at the peak of diamond level. At this moment, Huo Wen has only one thought in his mind. Accept him as a personal disciple. This is my last disciple. This is the capital for me to brag about in the second half of my life. This is the person who will carry my coffin in the future. It is no exaggeration to say that when Huo Wen saw this photo, he even thought of the name of his disciple. Huo Wen's voice was trembling. Tell me, where is this? Teacher, this is the freshman's practice room. After saying that, Huo Wen turned into a wisp of fire and flew out of the courtyard. Master, where are you going? Huang Dongdong was confused. Before he could react, Huo Wen had already flown away. Only one sentence remained in the wind. Be patient, I will bring you a little junior brother. When Huo Wen flew to the courtyard of the freshman comprehensive building, the scene in front of him shocked him. At this moment, the place was already full of old men. Each of them was at least at the peak of platinum level, and many of them were even the veteran diamond level masters. Or all people who can establish their own sects. Master Huo, you are late, don't cut in line later. President Hu, do you have time to hang out here too? Why, where you, the leader of the Steel Sect. I can't go. Hey, Mars, aren't you going to steal the skills of the Holy See Pope? Why are you here? You are talking nonsense. I am going to have a friendly exchange. Exchange. Hee, Master Jing, this doesn't seem to be your sect, right? Hee, I graduated from the Magic City High Martial Arts Academy 20 years ago. It's not too much to revisit the old place now, right? Question mark. Quote, the old men were all talking and squeezing each other. Everyone knew why they came here, so they were all angry. All the old men were practitioners. And naturally, they showed their auras in the process of competing secretly. The auras of so many strong men were basically not restrained, making the students within a radius of 10 miles feel a great sense of oppression. Even the passing dogs had to crawl out panting. In the material department, Director Yao Yuxian angrily rebuked Shu Yukai, the freshman in charge of the material department, who was standing next to him. Are you sure that the monitoring equipment was destroyed today, and the entry and exit records were mistakenly swallowed by the system today? Quote, who do you think will believe you when you say this? Tell me who will believe it. Quote, take a good look. The lineup standing outside was only assembled when we went to war with Ninja Country last time. Quote, think it over before you speak. If something goes wrong, we may not be able to walk out of this building alive. Quote, now the supply department is surrounded by masters from all sides. They are waiting for me to open the door and give an answer. But the result given to me by my subordinate is that there is no answer. Not only no answer, but not even a little information. Who will believe this if I tell them? If I go out and tell those masters that we have nothing to say? Yao Yuxian feels that he may not be able to walk out of the supply department intact today. Shu Yukai at this moment his face was covered with sweat, and he kept wiping the sweat. He was complaining in his heart. Is it that serious? What the hell is this? Is that test student so important? Half of the old guys in the Magic City have been recruited, and the National War All-Star lineup is here. Who can withstand this? Shu Yukai was speechless for a while. After all, he did violate the rules first, and he felt guilty. Why don't we ask the principal for help? As long as the principal is here, the masters outside will definitely be able to handle it. Principal, you dare to ask? Is the extraordinary master giving you face or giving me face? Shu Yukai, you are such a smart person at ordinary times, why are you making trouble now? Just when Yao Yuxian was about to start scolding, a white-bearded old man suddenly appeared out of thin air. After seeing the old man's appearance, the two were shocked and immediately stood up respectfully. Hello, principal. Quote, the person who came was the principal of the Magic City High Martial Arts Academy. A true transcendent, known as one of the three pillars of the Magic City, the Void Venerable, Bai Shu. Bai Shu waved his hand and motioned for the two to sit down. I know everything, I will come forward. Bai Shu made the final decision. The two heads of the material department were relieved as if they had been pardoned, and the tense strings were relaxed. Especially Shu Yukai, who collapsed on the sofa, but his mouth was not idle, and he directly switched to the dog-licking mode. Principal, wow, I really followed the right thigh. Principal, you are my beacon, my role model in life, and my direction of progress. Quote, Bai Shu ignored these flatteries, but said lightly, I want all the information about this student in your material department. And destroy all backup data, and don't tell anyone else. Quote, hearing this, Shu Yukai and Yao Yuxian were stunned. Principal, are you here to settle the matter or to get ahead of others? Is this student really so attractive? Forget about those diamond-level masters outside. You are a true extraordinary master, you are the Dinghai Shenzhen of the Magic City, and even you are here to join in the fun and snatch people. Principal, is this appropriate? Yao Yuxian stumbled. What's inappropriate? Principal Bai Shu said calmly, time waits for no one. Those two will break through my space magic in a little while. If I hadn't used space magic to temporarily trap the other two extraordinary people in the Magic City, I might have been in a situation where 3 magic needles had arrived at the same time. After all, the temptation of the second Zhang Hedong is too great. After hearing this, Yao Yuxian and Shu Yukai's eyes almost popped out. They swallowed a few times unconsciously. The only people who can break through the principal space magic are those two in the whole Magic City. One student actually attracted the competition of the 3 pillars of Magic City. Thinking of this, Shu Yukai was completely pissed. Principal, I confess, the monitoring equipment is really broken, but I gave the source file of the entry and exit records to the freshman dean Lawani. Lawani, the little girl of the La family. When Bai Shu heard that all the first-hand resources were in Lawani's hands, his brows slightly frowned. If it was in Lawani's hands, with his status, he would be a little embarrassed to snatch it openly. Then he stroked his beard and pinched. He calculated with his fingers. If you don't calculate, you won't know. After calculating, he found that this incident seemed to have not happened at all. It seemed that someone had covered it up with a more powerful magic than his own. Interesting, interesting. Bai Shu's mouth corners slightly raised. There were very few things in the world that made him feel interesting. In that case, why not just let it go? Seeing that Bai Shu was going to wait and see what would happen, Shu Yukai asked anxiously, Principal, what should I do with those masters outside? When do I need to explain the things I arranged to them? As soon as the voice fell, Bai Shu waved lightly towards the door. In an instant, all the strong men standing in the courtyard of the word, Wu, were pulled by an inexplicable void force. No one was given a chance to resist, and they were all teleported back to their original places. When they were teleported back, only one sentence remained in everyone's mind. From today on, you are not allowed to look for it deliberately. The final exam will have its own answer. Huo Wen was also teleported back to his courtyard by Bai Shu's space magic. He stood in his courtyard in a daze. They naturally knew who had used such a large-scale space transfer. Bai Shu had spoken, so what could they do? If they deliberately looked for that student from today on, it would be a blatant violation of Bai Shu's order. Although these Platinum and Diamond Masters were all masters who founded their own schools, they really had no qualifications to challenge Bai Shu, who was at the top of the pyramid. When he thought of this, Huo Wen couldn't help but sigh. It's true that everyone below the extraordinary is an ant. Master, where's my junior brother? The blind disciple Huang Dongdong ran over happily. Huo Wen looked at this blind disciple and wanted to beat him up again. But suddenly he changed his mind. Then he smiled and said to Huang Dongdong, Dongdong, I think your foundation is still lacking, so I plan to let you go to the freshman class to retrain. Starting tomorrow, you should pack your bags and report to the freshman class. I didn't go to find him in person. I just asked my disciple to go to the freshman class to lay a foundation again and meet some young talents. Isn't this a breach of contract? When he thought of this, Huo Wen couldn't help but touch his short beard complacently. What is wisdom? This is wisdom. Ah, but master, which class should I go to? You, go to whichever class can teach you. After saying that, Huo Wen yawned and walked towards the inner room, leaving Huang Dongdong standing in the wind in a mess. The next day, the news that the big guys in the Magic City gathered at Gaowu Academy spread like a gust of wind to every corner of the school. Have you heard that half of the Magic City yesterday? The big guys have gathered in our school. I have personally experienced the pressure from the group of masters. Even the passing dogs within a 10-mile radius had to crawl on their stomachs. I was on the nearby playground at the time. The pressure was so painful. Fortunately, I was determined and managed to withstand it. You are talking nonsense. Your wet pants are still hanging in the dormitory. All the masters in half of the Magic City have gathered together. Wow, the last time they gathered this lineup was during the war. I don't know what happened. Are they going to fight again? Can you use your dog brain to think about it? If the war is going to start, why don't you gather at the front line and gather in the school? I heard that the principal showed up in the end. The big space technique he used was so amazing. There were so many diamond-level masters and half-step masters present, and none of them could withstand it for a second. They were all slapped back home. Quote, everyone below the extraordinary is an ant. Do you think this is a joke? Yesterday, the grand gathering of all the powerful people at the Magic City High Martial Arts Academy completely ignited public opinion. All the students in the school, without exception, were discussing this matter. Especially the lazy classes like Grade 1, Class 2, which did not even attend classes, but discussed this matter 24 hours a day. One of the instigators of this incident, Yi Ran, was sitting on the podium, looking at the chattering students below with interest. Yi Ran, who has a famous teacher system, looked at the students below his stage and saw the more he looked at them, the more he looked at them, the cuter. These are not salted fish, but pearls that have not been polished to shine. It's just that the current thoughts of these pearls are really biased. They are not thinking about cultivation at all. If you want to improve the overall strength of the class, you really need to think of a way to change this bad class style. Yi Ran looked at the students in the audience with eager eyes, staring at the chattering students in the audience and feeling a little unnatural. Do you think Teacher Yi has been stimulated recently? I feel the same way. Since Director Le criticized her, it seems that Teacher Yi has changed a lot. Yes, although she looks a lot more energetic, I always feel that the way she looks at us is a little different from before. Not only has Teacher Yi changed, but even our class monitor is a little bit sneaky now. I don't know where he has been these 2 days. Quote, I saw him the day before, but now I don't know what's wrong with Dakin. His mouth is full of fishy smell, and he is still mumbling every day, how many pounds are left? How many pounds are left? Hey, Dakin is such a solid person, but he went crazy after being taken away by Teacher Yi for 2 days. This is called the whisper of the ancient gods. I would like to call Teacher Yi the new generation of Cthulhu. Go crazy, destroy it. Anyway, this class has no need to exist. Shish, keep your voice down, lower your head, Teacher Yi is coming. Quote. The students' private discussion came to an abrupt end when Yi Ran stepped down from the podium. Everyone lowered their heads, afraid to meet Yi Ran's eyes. Yi Ran walked straight past them without paying attention. When Yi Ran walked to the last row, he stopped. Yi Ran looked at the girl in the last row who was sitting upright and reciting the textbook with interest. She could sit so upright among these crooked students, and recite the textbook seriously in such a noisy environment. No matter how you look at it, it feels like this girl has walked into the wrong class. When he saw this girl for the first time, Yi Ran's mind naturally emerged with a sentence. Out of the mud, unstained. Quote. Chapter 11. The first thing to do as a good assistant therapist is to be kind and abide by the rules. The girl closed her eyes and recited the text, not realizing that Yi Ran had stood beside her. When she heard that the whole class was so quiet that there was no chattering, she opened her eyes slightly. She looked up and saw Yi Ran smiling at her. She was frightened and stood up. Even so, she still bowed respectfully to Yi Ran. Teacher Yi, I didn't know you were here. Yi Ran flipped through the girl's book and praised. Basic Principles of Treating Psychics. Zhang Xiaoru, I didn't expect you to have learned by yourself what you need to learn in your sophomore year, not bad. As soon as Yi Ran finished speaking, Zhang Xiaoru's face flushed red. For a moment, she was uneasy and didn't know what to say. With her confused mind, she suddenly said, Yes, I'm sorry, Teacher Yi, I won't recite anymore. As soon as she said this, the whole classroom burst into laughter. The ridicule of her classmates made Zhang Xiaoru even more at a loss. Nervously retreating to the corner of the classroom, his hands nervously holding the corners of his clothes and rubbing them back and forth. Yi Ran, who saw this scene, remained silent. In a class, a person who studies hard is actually being laughed at, and actually has to apologize to the teacher and never recite again. What a funny scene. What's so funny? Yi Ran's tone was calm, but very powerful. This calm sentence made the laughter in the room stop abruptly. I'm asking you what's so funny? Faced with Yi Ran's further questioning, most of the students remained silent. Teacher Lin, she studied so hard, but she couldn't even cast a lowest level healing spell. We just think that studying is useless. Suddenly, such a speech came from the students. Such a speech made Zhang Xiaoru even more embarrassed, and her face turned red. Zhang Xiaoru, a problem student who awakened the healing talent but couldn't even cast a lowest level healing spell. Studied more seriously than anyone else, worked harder than anyone else, and followed the rules more than anyone else. The most obedient and well-behaved student in the eyes of all teachers. Even the theoretical scores were the first in the whole grade. But the practical scores were the worst in the whole school. According to the school system, this year is also Zhang Xiaoru's last year. If Zhang Xiaoru can't pass the lowest level practical test again, Zhang Xiaoru will be notified of expulsion. The embarrassing situation and the words of classmates. It was like a cold arrow piercing Zhang Xiaoru's heart. Bitterness and grievance surged into her heart, and her eyes began to moisten. Yi Ran looked at the students, silent. This is the second class of the first grade. The theory of the uselessness of learning is prevalent here, and eating, drinking and having fun are prevalent. Here, hard practice has become a laughingstock and an alien. One by one, they are deeply trapped in the quagmire, not thinking about how to jump out, but want to pull everyone outside the quagmire in. In order to complete the salted fish turnover, to achieve a real class counterattack. What Yi Ran needs to solve most is to kill this terrible class style. Since Zhang Xiaoru's example has become the ironclad evidence of their theory of the uselessness of learning, then what he has to do is to overturn this ironclad evidence. Yi Ran walked towards Zhang Xiaoru silently, like a wall, helping Zhang Xiaoru block those eyes looking at her. Classmates, I don't want to find out who said this. I know you all have the same idea more or less. You are all laughing at those who work hard, laughing at them for doing useless work every day, and using this to prove your point of view that learning is useless. But is this the reason why you don't work hard? Everyone here has been admitted to the Magic City High Martial Arts College with their own abilities, and everyone has extraordinary qualifications. But now, they are not enterprising, doing nothing, and willing to be trampled underfoot like mud. Yi Ran looked around, and the sharp eyes in his eyes made all the students who looked at him lower their heads. You are popular with the theory that hard work is useless, and you mock everyone who tries to work hard. Think about it carefully, isn't this also mocking yourselves? When you encounter a little setback, you choose to escape. I am afraid that I am not a beautiful jade, so I dare not work hard to improve myself. However, I half believe that I am a beautiful jade, so I indulge in my inner desires and only dare to escape. I seek a little comfort in that fantasy world, but I dare not look up at the bright moon over the river. Quote. Yi Ran's words hit the nail on the head. The students present were speechless, and some even blushed with shame. Yi Ran took Zhang Xiaoru to the center of the podium. Zhang Xiaoru's efforts will never be in vain. One day, she will break out of the cocoon and stand in the center of the stage. I know you may be disdainful in your heart, but look at me carefully, I will let you see from Zhang Xiaoru what is the use of learning. What is the use of hard work? Then, Yi Ran turned to Zhang Xiaoru. Zhang Xiaoru, follow me. Quote. Zhang Xiaoru stared at all this blankly. At this moment, Yi Ran, under the sunlight, seemed to be an angel descending to the mortal world. Okay, teacher. After saying that, Zhang Xiaoru held her textbook and followed Yi Ran out of the classroom. The other students present were left alone, looking at each other in bewilderment. In the corridor, Yi Ran was walking in front, and Zhang Xiaoru was following behind. The two of them were one in front and one behind. After a long time, Yi Ran found that, as long as he walked faster, Zhang Xiaoru would walk faster, and if he walked slower, Zhang Xiaoru would walk slower. Anyway, she would not walk parallel to him. Xiaoru, there is no need to be so restrained. Zhang Xiaoru shook her head seriously. According to school regulations, we must respect teachers and elders, and we must lag behind half a body when walking parallel to show respect. Yi Ran shook his head helplessly. It's up to you, but why are you still holding the book? Quote. Teacher, according to school regulations, we must review the textbook content every day, and I have to flip through it at any time. Quote. Seeing Zhang Xiaoru following the school rules, Yi Ran finally stopped, looked back at the serious little girl in front of him and smiled helplessly. For a moment, Yi Ran recalled the introduction of Zhang Xiaoru on the system. Zhang Xiaoru, female, 19 years old. Superpower awakening. Healing talent level B. Current practice. Magic City High Martial Arts Academy Physical Training 2.0 Public Version. Advantages. Possessing a nearly perfect priest knowledge system and mastering all basic priest skills perfectly. Disadvantages. Unable to exert healing ability. Guidance plan. Highly compatible with the Dark Knight Priest profession, it is recommended to accept the Dark Knight Priest profession inheritance. The specific inheritance information is as follows. To be honest, when I first heard that Zhang Xiaoru was suitable for the Dark Knight Priest inheritance, Yi Ran was a little surprised. Professional inheritance is a means of practice for the sect, different from the randomness of the awakened superpowers and the continuation of the bloodline of the family. The sect has its own way of practice, especially the major sects with theological colors. Their so-called gods the spirit will give power inheritance, and the sect will find and absorb inheritors suitable for its own system among all living beings. For example, the angel inheritance of the Holy Church, the Paladin inheritance, the ancient Buddha fruit position and Bodhisattva fruit position of the Great Buddha Hall. The more all inheritors are adapted to the inheritance, the higher the integrity of the inheritance, and the greater the effect will be. The inheritance of the Dark Knight Priest comes from a superpower with three extraordinary people. The Free Tavern, the people here are both good and evil, and their behavior is arbitrary. The gods they believe in are also heretical and very individual. Many power inheritances have never had an inheritor, like the Dark Knight Priest adapted to Zhang Xiaoru, but if Yi Ran hadn't heard the introduction of the system today, he might never have heard of this career inheritance path in his life. However, according to the introduction of the system, the Dark Knight Priest inheritance is very strong. It is one of the top professional inheritances, and it is also one of the bottom-line heritages of the Free Tavern, but no one has successfully inherited it. In fact, Yi Ran also curiously asked the system why Zhang Xiaoru was so suitable for the Night Elves priest. The system did not give a clear answer, but only quoted a sentence from the Night Elves priest awakening introduction to respond to himself, birth is just the starting point of death. It's so weird that I can't understand it. Yi Ran complained silently. Seeing Yi Ran staring at her and saying something silently, Zhang Xiaoru thought she had done something wrong. Said a little awkwardly, "Teacher, what did you say? I didn't hear it clearly." Zhang Xiaoru's words interrupted Yi Ran's thoughts. Yi Ran looked at the uneasy Zhang Xiaoru and smiled slightly. Zhang Xiaoru is a good kid in everything, but her personality really needs to be changed. Then, Yi Ran walked up quickly, directly grabbed the textbook in Zhang Xiaoru's hand and took it away. Seeing this, Zhang Xiaoru hurriedly went up to grab it, but Yi Ran easily dodged it. "Xiaoru, we don't need textbooks where we are going today." Zhang Xiaoru was a little anxious when she saw this, but teacher, according to school regulations, I really need. Quote. Yi Ran ignored Zhang Xiaoru's anxiety and asked back, "You are so familiar with the rules, then tell me what the first rule of the school rules is." Zhang Xiaoru knew them all. According to the first rule of the rules, respect teachers and respect morality. Quote. Zhang Xiaoru was interrupted by Yi Ran before she finished reciting. "That's it, from today on, what you need to do most is to respect teachers, do you understand?" Understand. Okay, today I order you not to read books, and everything is arranged by the teacher. After that, Yi Ran walked towards the school gate in a chic manner. Seeing Yi Ran walking towards the school gate, Zhang Xiaoru said anxiously, But teacher, according to the school rules, you must not read books. According to the regulations, freshmen cannot leave the school gate without reason." Zhang Xiaoru's voice became smaller and smaller. Respecting teachers is the first rule to follow. But what if the teacher leads her to not follow the rules? At this moment, Zhang Xiaoru felt for the first time in her life that the rules and order she had built in her heart were disordered. It was like a bug in a computer program, making her feel torn. She instinctively wanted to retreat to her comfort zone, but then she thought of Yi Ran's protection of her in the classroom just now. She hesitated. After a while, Zhang Xiaoru gritted her teeth, quickened her pace and walked behind Yi Ran. Yi Ran looked at all this, with a slight smile on his face. "Xiaoru, the teacher ordered you to walk side by side with me. But, are you not going to respect the teacher?" Okay, teacher." Then, Yi Ran took Zhang Xiaoru to his sports car and left the school in a cloud of dust. 1 second after Yi Ran took Zhang Xiaoru away, the door of Luwanyi's office was knocked open directly. At this time, Luwanyi was busy studying who the hidden genius was, and she didn't even raise her head. "Xiaoman, what's the matter?" Wang Xiaoman looked at Luwanyi nervously. "Master, there is something I need to report to you." As if she could hear Wang Xiaoman's nervousness, Luwanyi raised her head. "The genius has been found." Wang Xiaoman shook her head and said with a wry smile, "It's Teacher Yi. Teacher Yi has left the school with a student now." "Male or female?" "Female. Crack. A crisp sound rang on Luwanyi's desk, and the pen was broken by Luwanyi directly. "Master, are you okay?" Luwanyi looked calm. "What's wrong with me?" "I'm fine." Then, she picked up her coat and walked out the door. Master, where are you going? Burning leaves. After saying that, he left the office, leaving Wang Xiaoman confused. Burn leaves. After Wang Xiaoman reacted, she also hurriedly chased after Luwani. She knew her master better than anyone else. She could stay calm at any time. But she couldn't control her emotions when it came to Yiran's affairs. For a moment, she was really afraid that Luwani would burn the leaves. On the sports car, Wang Xiaoman, still trying to persuade Luwani earnestly. Master, listen to me, maybe things are not as bad as you think, maybe Teacher Yi is just taking that student, home visit. Do you think you've thought about what you said? Master, if something is really wrong, you must control your emotions. Don't worry, I won't kill him. That's good, that's good. I'll only burn the leaves and roots. Hearing this, Wang Xiaoman's hanging heart finally died. Forget it, tired, destroy it. Yiran, who was still in front, didn't know that Luwani was following him. Still chatting with Zhang Xiaoru. Xiaoru, relax a little, just think of it as coming out to relax. Zhang Xiaoru, who was sitting aside, was a little embarrassed. But still showed a not-so-natural smile. The immature smile on Zhang Xiaoru's round face also showed a youthful flavor. Isn't this cute? Smile more often. Remember, smile brings good luck. Yiran's praise made Zhang Xiaoru feel a little confused, and she could only talk about other things. Teacher, where are we going? You'll know when you get there. Remember, the only thing you have to do today is to listen to me. Okay. After saying that, Yiran stepped on the accelerator, and the red sports car sped away. Yiran's sudden acceleration confused Luwani and the others who followed closely behind him. Where are they going? Wang Xiaoman said uncertainly. Looking at this route, it seems to be Tak. As soon as she finished speaking, Wang Xiaoman wanted to slap herself in the face. Tak, the most luxurious nightclub in Shanghai. A teacher taking a female student to such a place doesn't seem right no matter how you look at it. Wang Xiaoman didn't know how to make it up next. Luwani didn't say anything, but just stepped on the accelerator, and the roaring engine seemed to tell Wang Xiaoman that this time it was really a big deal. As night fell, when most people were ready to rest, the lights of Tak finally came on. Countless handsome men and beautiful women walked into this charming city that never sleeps. Zhang Xiaoru followed Yiran timidly, holding Yiran's clothes, and refused to take a step forward. She looked at the huge sign of Tak with fear in her eyes, as if she was looking at a flood and a beast. Teacher, let's go back. Zhang Xiaoru asked Yiran almost pleadingly. She never thought that Yiran would take him here. Go back. Why? Because this place doesn't seem to be where we should be. Who are we? Zhang Xiaoru was a little embarrassed. She couldn't explain it and could only speak incoherently. That's right, we are the people who shouldn't be here. Yiran looked at the embarrassed Zhang Xiaoru and felt helpless. Tell the teacher if this place is legal. It's legal. Since it's a legal place, why can't we go there as law-abiding citizens? Yiran took Zhang Xiaoru's hand and walked into the nightclub. He didn't listen to Zhang Xiaoru's reasons at all. This scene was seen clearly by Luwani and Wang Xiaoman who were hiding nearby. Master, are you okay? What could possibly happen to me? Someone should be in trouble. Maybe Teacher Yi is thirsty and needs to go in to drink some water. Wang Xiaoman was about to break down, and she felt that the reasons given were outrageous. Luwani ignored Wang Xiaoman. Her face was as cold as ice, and she walked straight to the nightclub. Wang Xiaoman could only follow anxiously. In the nightclub, the huge neon ball kept turning. The restless music, the flashing lights, the wanton sweat, and the smell of aromatherapy and alcohol in the air reflected each other, showing a different kind of magic. Xiaoru, you've never been here, have you? Yiran asked, facing the huge sound waves of the DJ. At this moment, Zhang Xiaoru didn't dare to pay attention to Yiran at all. She could only sit alone in the corner of the sofa, drinking a can of carbonated beverage. Teacher Yi, you are really lucky. Just when Yiran asked Zhang Xiaoru, a cold voice suddenly came from behind. Yiran turned his head and saw two peerless faces. But the faces of these two peerless faces didn't seem so friendly. Isn't this Director La? Yiran smiled and waved to Luwani and Wang Xiaoman, come and sit here. Yi Ran's natural generosity made Luwani and Wang Xiaoman slightly stunned. The script is wrong. Shouldn't Yi Ran be extremely embarrassed and hide under the table with a face full of shame and anger at this moment? Facing Yi Ran's invitation, Luwani snorted coldly. Then she sat down in the middle of the sofa with ease, deliberately isolating Yi Ran and Zhang Xiaoru. Wang Xiaoman didn't know what to do, so she could only sit down with Luwani. After the two of them sat down, the four of them looked at each other in silence. The atmosphere in the booth was extremely cold. Unlike the cold atmosphere here, the whole nightclub became more lively because of the seating of Luwani and others. Look, that booth with 3 women and 1 man. I'm not blind, there are so many beauties in the world. Especially the cold and aloof lady sitting in the middle. I've never seen such a beautiful lady with such temperament and appearance. Isn't the sweet girl behind that lady beautiful? I think the cute girl who looks a bit like a loli at the beginning is the most beautiful. Who is this guy? I haven't seen him before. I guess he is another top rich young man from a certain family. I'm so envious. MD, why does the wine taste so sour today? It's not the wine that's sour, it's the sadness of some people. Since Luwani and others sat down, the discussion has never stopped. There's no way, whether it's Luwani or Wang Xiaoman, they are all great beauties picked from thousands of miles away. In addition to long-term practice, their figures are almost perfect. Anyone standing there will become the most beautiful woman in the world. The focus of the scene, not to mention that the two of them were sitting in a booth. For a moment, the huge flashing light ball was not as dazzling as this booth. On the other side of the nightclub, on a larger top booth, a man was lying comfortably on the sofa, with one hand wandering up and down the girl next to him. There were also several men dressed in business clothes next to him who kept complimenting and toasting. Teacher Han, you are indeed a handsome man. My son is really lucky to be able to worship under you. That is, who in the entire Magic City College Entrance Examination Academy doesn't know the name of the genius tutor Teacher Han? Teacher Han, thank you for your guidance to my son. If it weren't for your guidance, how could my son get a good score in the top 10 of the grade in this midterm ranking? This man called Teacher Han is the star tutor of the freshmen of Magic City High Martial Arts College, Han Kyun. A platinum-level genius tutor with A-level supernatural talent. And Luwani are known as the genius twin stars in the freshman teacher team. The vocational education class is also one of the best key classes in the grade. Han Kyun smiled and waved his hand. Everyone here is a friend, a brother, there is no need to be so formal. The people who were flattering on the side were all excited when they heard Han Kyun say this. Teacher Han has nothing to say, it's all in the wine. After saying that, a middle-aged man picked up a bottle of foreign wine and poured it directly into his stomach. Drink slowly, Lao Zhang, drink slowly. Oh, why are you doing this? Although Han Kyun said this, the pleasure in his eyes could not be concealed. Obviously, he enjoyed the feeling of being pursued by others. Just when the men were drinking to their heart's content, the voices of discussion on the side also reached their ears. After hearing those discussions, Han Kyun couldn't help but raise his head and look in that direction. As a platinum-level player, he had excellent eyesight and could see Luwani and others in the dim environment at a glance. He was slightly stunned. As a platinum-level player, he thought he was a perfect match for Luwani. He had invited Luwani out many times, but was rejected by Luwani every time. But he never expected that he would see Luwani in the nightclub today. And what he couldn't understand the most was that Luwani was sitting in the same booth with Yi Ran. Yi Ran, wasn't he the instructor of the salted fish class who was about to be expelled? Luwani actually rejected a genius like him and went out to drink with such a waste. For a moment, Han Kyun's face looked a little ugly. He picked up the wine glass and walked towards Luwani. After Yi Ran motioned Luwani and the others to take a seat, he turned and walked towards a bartender. The bartender looked at Yi Ran and smiled professionally. Sir, what service do you need? Yi Ran looked at the bartender. I want to see the person in charge of your place. Okay, sir, I'll contact our lobby manager for you. The bartender was about to take out his intercom. As a result, before he could speak, a hand pressed on the intercom. Yi Ran shook his head. I don't want to see this person in charge. The bartender's expression flickered a little, but he still asked, "Sir, I don't understand what you mean." Yi Ran looked at the bartender and said word by word, "I want to see the person in charge of your free tavern." When the bartender heard the 4 words, free tavern, his eyes became serious, and even his momentum suddenly rose. It's worthy of being a big force. It actually uses a gold-level drunkard as a bartender. Yi Ran praised. To be honest, when I first learned from the system that the largest nightclub in the Magic City was a branch of the free tavern, Yi Ran was also a little surprised, but he thought it was reasonable. After all, the free tavern inheritance wants those who pursue individuality, desire, and chaos. This is highly compatible with the customer group of the nightclub. After hearing Yi Ran accurately describe his professional inheritance, the bartender stopped playing dumb. "Excuse me, sir, what do you want to do with the person in charge of our free tavern?" Yi Ran narrowed his eyes and said lightly, "Tell your person in charge that there is a professional inheritor who meets the requirements of your free tavern, and wait for him here." The bartender nodded lightly after hearing this. This is also the reason why they have to secretly set up branches even if they have not been legally recognized by Longguo. After all, Longguo has such a large population, and there must be many people who meet their professional inheritance. Can you tell me which professional inheritance sequence of our free tavern this inheritor is suitable for? Yi Ran looked at the bartender and replied lightly, "Dark Knight Priest." When these words came out, the bartender's body was slightly shaken. After all, the person who can say the 4 words, Dark Knight Priest, must be extremely familiar with their free tavern. But the bartender was a little unsure. No one has succeeded in the inheritance of the Dark Knight Priest so far, and even the 3 helmsmen of the free tavern have no way to deal with this matter. But the young man in front of him kept saying that someone was suitable. From his confident look and serious tone, he didn't seem to be joking. For a moment, he was unsure and could only say carefully, "How can I know whether what you said is true or false?" Yi Ran said slowly, "Tell your person in charge, birth is just the starting point of death. She will notify you to see me." The bartender was skeptical. "May I ask your name?" "Yi Ran." After Yi Ran responded, he smiled and walked back to his booth. "What's wrong, Director La, don't you plan to drink something?" Looking at his booth, the atmosphere was a little cold, and Yi Ran tried to break the deadlock. Le Wanyi looked at Yi Ran, then at Zhang Xiaoru, with a cold face. "Teacher Yi, shouldn't you explain why you brought the students to the nightclub first? The showdown, the battle, the drama is coming." Wang Xiaoman's heart was in her throat, and she couldn't help but narrow her eyes slightly, fearing that the blood would splash on her. Listening to Le Wanyi's questioning, Yi Ran groaned for a moment and did not answer. "Sure enough, there is a problem." Seeing that Yi Ran couldn't answer, Le Wanyi's eyes narrowed slightly, and the cold breath seemed to have a hint of killing. It seemed that if Yi Ran dared to say something wrong, she would kill him with a knife. Even Wang Xiaoman on the side nervously grabbed Le Wanyi's arm, fearing that this sister was in a bad mood and made trouble. However, Yi Ran, who was in the center of the storm, seemed to feel no pressure and remained calm. "I brought students here to improve their strength. Do you think I am willing to come here? My ears are almost hurt by the explosion." Yi Ran complained and dug his ears. After hearing Yi Ran's answer, Le Wanyi and Wang Xiaoman were completely confused. "The teacher brought students to the nightclub, and you told me that this is to improve their strength. Are you kidding me?" Before Le Wanyi could get mad, a mocking voice suddenly came from behind her. "Teacher Yi's teaching method is really unique. He actually teaches students to improve their strength in a nightclub. What aspect of strength is he improving?" Le Wanyi and others looked in the direction of the voice. Then, after seeing who it was, they frowned slightly. Han Kun often used his status as a celebrity tutor to act arrogantly in school. Le Wanyi naturally had a very bad impression of Han Kun. Unexpectedly, she encountered this fly in a nightclub. It was really annoying. Han Kun felt very good about himself. He didn't feel Le Wanyi's annoyance at all. Instead, he sat on the sofa with a glass of wine in his hand very elegantly. He posed a very gentlemanly posture and toasted Le Wanyi. "Director Le is elegant. I didn't expect that he also likes to go to nightclubs. Next time, I will take you to play. To be honest, this position is really annoying." Han Kun shook his head and made a tut-tut sound. He expressed his dislike for the remote location of this booth. He didn't care about Yiran, who was sitting in the main seat, at all. Lawani, who was already a little irritable, had to listen to Han Kyun showing off his so-called superiority at this moment. And her inner irritability was aggravated a little bit. Naturally, she didn't have a good face and didn't respond to Han Kyun at all. Seeing that his words were left on the ground, Han Kyun, who was a little embarrassed for a while, looked at Yiran and Zhang Xiaoru. Teacher Yi, this is the student you want to teach, right? She looks pretty. Teacher Yi has good taste. Han Kyun smiled maliciously. Obviously, he regarded Yiran as someone like him, who came to the nightclub to take advantage of female college students. Come on, let Teacher Han take a look. How are your qualifications? Zhang Xiaoru stood up a little stiffly after hearing Han Kyun's words. Oh, okay. He was about to stand up and walk towards Han Kyun. But just as he stood up, he was grabbed by a strong hand. Zhang Xiaoru looked down and saw that it was Yiran. Where did the dog come from to bark here? It hurts my ears. Yiran frowned slightly, with a look of disgust in his eyes. Looking at Han Kyun, it was as if he was looking at a beast. Han Kyun was stunned on the spot. He could never have imagined that the salted fish tutor who was usually unknown in school could be so sharp. When Han Kyun reacted, he began to blush. Being humiliated by a salted fish tutor who was about to be expelled, especially in front of Lawani. Han Kyun now wanted to tear Yiran apart alive. Han Kyun narrowed his eyes and threatened maliciously. Yiran, do you want to be kicked out? In this nightclub, Han Kyun is an SSVIP. In Han Kyun's opinion, even if he throws Yiran out, the nightclub will not stop him. Yiran couldn't help laughing when he heard Han Kyun's threat. Then he calmly opened a can of Coke and said calmly, "Just try it." Okay. Han Kyun clapped his hands and said, "Good," 3 times. He laughed at Yiran's attitude. Then he waved slightly and called a lobby manager. The lobby manager obviously knew Han Kyun and said flatteringly, "Boss Han, what can I do for you? Call your person in charge. I have something to ask you. It needs to be handled." Quote. This lobby manager is quite smart and can read people's expressions. After seeing the situation, he immediately analyzed what Han Kyun wanted to do. "Mr. Han, there is no need to go through so much trouble. I will do it and guarantee that you will be satisfied with it." Quote. Hearing such flattering words, Han Kyun felt relieved. Seeing Han Kyun's acquiescence, the lobby manager also understood and walked directly to Yiran. "Sir, since you have violated the order, please leave now here." Quote. Unfounded slander, it's obvious that they want to drive you away. Listening to the lobby manager's words, Han Kyun looked at Yiran with a hint of satisfaction in his eyes, as if he had seen Yiran's embarrassed look when he was kicked out of the nightclub. However, Yiran seemed to be deaf to the question. He picked up the Coke again and took a sip. Seeing Yiran ignoring him, the lobby manager was a little embarrassed. "Sir, please leave here. If you don't obey, we will take coercive measures." Quote. Listening to the lobby manager's words, Yiran smiled playfully. "Are you sure?" Quote. This lobby manager was hired to do the job. Maybe he doesn't even know that this is a free tavern. The branch library may not know this information. Yiran's ridicule made the lobby manager a little angry. "Don't be shameless. Here, I am the boss. If I tell you to leave, you have to leave. Also no, wait for the lobby manager to finish his rage." Suddenly a group of people in black uniforms strode to Yiran's booth. The leader was a bald man wearing sunglasses, and the man standing next to him was the one who had just chatted with Yiran. The bartender. After seeing the person coming, the lobby manager was so scared that he broke out in a cold sweat, and then turned to the bald man and said, "Hello, Chairman. I never thought that such a trivial matter would attract TACC's attention." Chairman. The person who came was Zhang Zi, the official head of TAC, who was also the second in command of the Longguo branch of the Freedom Tavern. After seeing Zhang Zi, Han Kyun also stepped forward to shake hands. "Hello, Mr. Zhang, it's Han Kyun from Magic City High Martial Arts Academy." Quote. Zhang Zi, who controls the largest nightclub in Magic City, is a very influential tycoon in the entertainment industry. Even if Han Kyun doesn't know Zhang Zi's identity, just the status is enough for Han Kyun to take advantage of the situation. The lobby manager at the side continued, Teacher Han is an SSVIP customer of our nightclub and a star instructor of Magic City High Martial Arts College. After listening to the introduction, Zhongzi also shook hands politely and said politely, I have heard of your name for a long time. Quote. Hearing Zhongzi say that he had heard of you for a long time, Han Kyun couldn't suppress his smile. Then he looked at Yi Ran provocatively, as if to tell Yi Ran who was the winner here. Look, the lobby manager who saw this scene naturally did not forget to slander Yi Ran. Chairman, this guest is drunk and wants to humiliate Teacher Han. I am dealing with this matter. Hearing this, Zhongzi frowned. Mao. The bartender stood beside Zhongzi and whispered softly for a moment. Looking at Zhongzi's frown, Han Kyun's mouth corners slightly raised. I was already thinking about the scene of Yi Ran being humiliated and driven out by Zhongzi, which was worse than the small lobby manager often vents his anger by driving people away. After listening to the bartender's words, Zhongzi walked towards the booth. He was a big man, and after he walked over, he blocked all the lights, and the space became much darker. Zhongzi looked at the boy in front of him. Excuse me, is it Yi Ran? Quote. As soon as these words came out, Han Kyun and the lobby manager beside him were stunned. The script is wrong. Shouldn't Zhongzi be furious and then order Yi Ran to be expelled permanently? How such a polite tone? Yi Ran put down the coke and looked at Zhongzi calmly. I want to see the person in charge, not you. Everyone present was stunned by this sentence. Is Yi Ran crazy? Who else could be the head of TAC other than Zhongzi? And this is Zhongzi, a man who can shake the entertainment industry with his stomping feet. Although it is not clear what Zhongzi is capable of, but the power he has is obvious to all. It is said that even platinum-level masters are working for him. Speaking like this, are you not afraid of being exposed on the street today? For a moment, the atmosphere was frozen. Even Luwani unconsciously moved slightly closer to Yi Ran, in case Zhongzi got angry, and stepped forward to help. Just when everyone was waiting for Zhongzi to get angry, Zhongzi laughed loudly, and then opened a bottle of coke and took a big sip. It seems that Brother Yi knows us very well. Zhongzi was naturally happy. The more Yi Ran and the others knew, the more it proved that the successor of the Dark Knight Priest was authentic. Which also meant that the possibility that the Freedom Tavern would open another top-level inheritance was greater. As the second in command, he could naturally get a lot of benefits. Zhongzi finished a bottle of coke in one gulp, and stood up with a smile. Come with me, my sister is waiting for you inside. After that, Zhongzi waved his hand, signaling his men to make way for Yi Ran to come out. Yi Ran did not show any humility, and stood up directly and followed Zhongzi out. When he walked in front of the lobby manager at this time had already been scared silly, standing there blankly, not knowing what to think. Yi Ran gently patted his face. Why lick someone else, lick a beast? Don't you think so, Mr. Han? Yi Ran looked at Han Kyun harmlessly. This sentence was like a slap in the face, slapping Han Kyun hard. Han Kyun only felt that his face was burning, but he did not dare to make any unusual movements. After all, the situation is stronger than people. If there is a conflict now, what should we do? It seems that Zhongzi is going to break Yi Ran's legs. Zhongzi frowned slightly when he saw this scene, and then whispered a few words to the bartender beside him. Then he smiled and said, Little brother, let's go, you don't have to worry about this, everything will be handled. Star mentors like Han Kyun may be a big shot for ordinary people. But for real tycoons, they may not even be qualified to sit at the table. Hearing Zhongzi's words, Yi Ran nodded and called Zhang Xiaoru to leave. But he thought about it again and said to Luwani and others, Director La, you should come too, so that you don't say that I am not doing my job. Luwani and the others looked at each other. She didn't expect things to turn around to this point. Didn't they come out together to catch the adultery? Why do they feel involved in something extraordinary? For a moment, she looked at Yi Ran with some confusion in her eyes. I always felt that I couldn't see through this lazy mentor of mine. Come on, Director La, there should be something here that you are particularly interested in. Faced with Yi Ran's invitation again, Luwani and the others couldn't refuse and left here. After everyone left, the bartender who was ordered by Zhongzi looked at the lobby manager. You blind dog, you don't have to come tomorrow. Then he said to Han Kyun. From today on, you are no longer welcome at TAC. We will put all the drinks and balance in your card into your account. After that, the bartender left without looking back. The lobby manager sat on the ground in despair, and Han Kyun's face was full of shame and anger at this time. I didn't expect the boomerang to come so quickly. 5 minutes ago, I vowed to drive Yi Ran away, but 5 minutes later, I was the one who was driven away. Not only did he lose the qualification to come here, but he also embarrassed himself in front of Lawani. For a moment, he felt like a clown. The whole nightclub seemed to be watching his joke. The strong stimulation made him feel at a loss here. He could only snort coldly and leave TAC. Walking towards the inner hall of TAC, Yi Ran asked Zhang Xiaoru softly, "When Han Kyun asked you to come over just now, did you know that he had bad intentions?" I know. Zhang Xiaoru's voice was as small as a mosquito. Although she was obedient, she was still clear in her heart. "Then why do you still listen to him?" Zhang Xiaoru said a little embarrassedly. "Since I was a child, my family has always told me to be obedient so that I can live a better life." Listening to Zhang Xiaoru's words, Yi Ran was silent. What Zhang Xiaoru said was what her parents had told her since she was a child in her previous life. In school, you should listen to your teachers. In society, you should listen to your leaders. You should learn to endure more hardships and learn to read people's expressions. Only in this way can you live a good life and have a promising future. These situations are everywhere in ordinary families, especially those with poor ecological conditions. These parents have no power, no foresight, and even suffer injustice in society. They don't know how to change. They can only warn their children in this helpless way. They just hope that their children will be beaten less and suffer less. There is nothing wrong with the original intention of love, but it has caused many children to lose their passion and high morale at the beginning of their budding. Society has not smoothed the edges of teenagers, and they have already been gone when they left home. But can a teenager without edges still be called a teenager? Listening to Zhang Xiaoru's words, everyone was silent. Naturally, Lawani was more clear about Zhang Xiaoru's deeds. A little girl who could not release any healing skills was the first in theoretical knowledge in the whole grade. Before, I only knew about her deeds, but today I saw Zhang Xiaoru in person. Lawani had a deeper understanding of Zhang Xiaoru, especially the sentence, "You can feel better if you are obedient," which deeply touched her heartstrings. When she thought that the two of them came here to catch Zhang Xiaoru cheating, Lawani blushed slightly and felt ashamed. When Lawani was about to go forward to comfort Zhang Xiaoru, Yi Ran spoke first. "Xiaoru, your teacher has told you that you are no worse than anyone else." "Teacher, I know. I don't want you to know, I want you to prove it." Yi Ran interrupted Zhang Xiaoru and looked at her seriously. "Listen, Xiaoru, after tonight, you will be reborn. Your teacher will help you build the ladder to godhood, but you have to promise your teacher one thing." Yi Ran looked at Zhang Xiaoru seriously and said word by word, "From today on, live for yourself." Yi Ran hoped that Zhang Xiaoru would become a phoenix with wings spread, not a kite flying in the sky. Yi Ran's sudden seriousness made Zhang Xiaoru a little unsure of how to respond, and she could only nod as if she understood. Listening to Yi Ran's words, Lawani was slightly stunned, and a light flashed in her beautiful eyes. At this time, Yi Ran not only tried every means to improve the students' strength, but also cared about their psychological growth. Is this still the salted fish tutor she was familiar with before? Calm, confident, strong, responsible. In just one night, all of Yi Ran's performances showed the qualities that a great teacher should have. Especially what he said to Zhang Xiaoru at the end, how many teachers who only pay attention to students' grades but not their behavior should be ashamed. In a trance, Lawani seemed to feel that the brother Yi who had always protected her growing up was back. Yes, Yi Ran protected himself like this when he was a child. "We're here." Just as Lawani was still reminiscing about the past, Zhang Zi spoke. He looked at the 4 people in front of him and said seriously, "My eldest sister may have a bad temper, remember to be polite when you go in." Before Zhang Zi finished speaking, the nearly 5-meter-high door was directly shaken open. "Fatty, are you ruining my reputation outside again?" Hearing this, Zhang Zi secretly thought it was not good, and directly activated his body protection energy. For a moment, Zhang Zi's body was filled with the smell of alcohol, and a light purple alcohol mist directly blocked the door. Unique skills of drunkards. Chaos alcohol mist can confuse all attacks and offset attack damage. Extraordinary drunkards can even achieve the power of the law of chaos. After seeing this scene, La Wanyi's eyes narrowed slightly, and she murmured to herself, diamond level. Who would have thought that a diamond level strongman would stoop to be the person in charge of a nightclub? What secrets does this nightclub hide, and how is Yiran connected with these people? For a moment, La Wanyi looked at Yiran with confusion. At this moment in her eyes, Yiran seemed to be wrapped in a mysterious veil, making her unable to see through. Boom! Even though Zhang Zi activated his skills in advance, he was still blown away by the powerful energy coming from behind the door. He hit the wall and raised a cloud of dust. Sister, there is no need to treat your brother like this, there are so many outsiders here. The dust cleared, and Zhang Zi speechlessly tore off his torn suit, revealing his strong arms, and said helplessly to the door, "Does this reputation still need me to be bad? Any normal person can see that you have a bad temper." As a result, the person inside the door not only did not appreciate it, but scolded Zhang Zi. "Fatty, call in the little guy named Yiran and the inheritor, no one else is allowed to come in." Zhang Zi turned his head and smiled helplessly. "You two, please come in, the other two, please wait for a moment." Then, Yiran took Zhang Xiaoru into the room. As soon as Zhang Xiaoru entered, she was shocked by the luxury inside. The luxurious chandeliers made entirely of diamonds and jewelry. The exaggeratedly gorgeous reliefs, not to mention the precious calligraphy and paintings that she couldn't even name, all showed the nobility of this place. As soon as he came in, Yiran bowed and saluted. "Junior greets the Lord of Grey Mist." As soon as these words came out, a strong wind blew in the room, and a grey mist instantly came in front of Yiran. As if it was a ghost without a body, "You actually guessed me." Yiran looked at her with a wry smile. In the entire Free Tavern, there are only 3 people who dare to beat Zhang Zi like this, and the other 2 are not women. The person in front of him is one of the 3 extraordinary people in the Free Tavern, the Lord of Grey Mist, who is known as the Soul Shepherd. In fact, Zhang Zi's sister outside the door had already exposed the Lord of Grey Mist. Hearing Yiran's analysis, the Lord of Grey Mist waved his hand impatiently. "Fatty, you ruined my good thing again. But it seems that you are very familiar with our Free Tavern." The Lord of Grey Mist flew to his side, but his aura did not subside. The strong sense of oppression made Yiran unconsciously activate his innate body. Only then did he feel a little clear. "Hey, I can't feel you anymore. Interesting, so interesting that I want to see what your soul looks like." The Lord of Grey Mist flew up and down, curiously looking at the boy in front of him. Yiran, who activated his innate body, could even feel the energy threads coming from all directions, preparing to entangle his soul. Madman! Yiran couldn't help but curse in his heart. This is a strange and eccentric character. It is really hard to find such an extraordinary person in other places except the Free Tavern. Lord of Grey Mist, don't you want to see the future of the Night Elves priest? Quote. Yiran's words interrupted the Lord of Grey Mist's crazy behavior, and successfully attracted the Lord of Grey Mist's attraction. Then, the Lord of Grey Mist flew directly to Zhang Xiaoru. Grey Mist, a pair of sharp eyes seemed to be able to see through everything about Zhang Xiaoru. "Is this the inheritor you mentioned? Looks ordinary. Ordinary or not, you can only know it from the moment you come into contact with the inheritance." Yiran responded to the Lord of Grey Mist calmly. The Lord of Grey Mist turned his head and looked at Yiran and laughed for a while. "Your calmness makes me doubt whether you are really a little guy of the silver rank. Don't you feel scared standing in front of me? Free Tavern is free to do whatever you want, but he never hurts his friends, let alone a friend who sent a great gift." Quote. The Lord of Grey Mist looked at Yiran, was silent for a moment, and said, "Do you really believe that she can inherit the Dark Knight Priest? Do you know how much effort the 3 of us have put in to find so many people for the inheritance of the Dark Knight Priest?" Yiran looked at the Lord of Grey Mist, his eyes level, without the slightest fear, as if he was the extraordinary person at this moment. "Please open the inheritance, and you will see the answer you want." The Lord of Grey Mist's eyes flickered slightly, and his spiritual body was also erratic. Even some diamond-level strongmen would be restrained and afraid when facing him. Even if they hide well, they can't hide in front of her who is proficient in the soul. But today, she can't see the slightest bit of tension and embarrassment in the silver-level boy in front of her. She can't see through the boy in front of her. Do you know the consequences of teasing Chalfon? If you fail, take my life. There was a light in Yiran's eyes. Free and easy, confident, and with a hint of madness. Teacher, why don't we just forget it? Zhang Xiaoru was stunned when she heard that Yiran was going to gamble his life. She held Yiran's hand, wanting him to take back his bet. Yiran smiled and patted Zhang Xiaoru's head. Master said, Master will help you build the ladder to God. At this moment, Zhang Xiaoru was completely confused. She really didn't expect that. Yiran's, Master will help you build the ladder to God, was built with life as a bet. For a moment, complex emotions surged in her heart. She couldn't understand why Yiran could do this for her. After hearing this, the Lord of Grey Mist danced up and down happily as if he had encountered something fun. Okay, little guy, you are crazier than the people in our free tavern. Since you are willing to bet, then I will fulfill your wish. Quote. After saying this, the Lord of Grey Mist waved his grey robe lightly. A grey energy swept through the living room. A statue of a woman with her head bowed in prayer suddenly appeared in the living room in a way that ordinary people could not understand. The woman on the statue looked kind, gentle. But the black appearance gave the sculpture an indescribable sense of weirdness. On the back of the sculpture was engraved the words that the system had told Yiran before. Birth is just the starting point of death. This sentence was engraved here when we got this inheritance. It's so mysterious that we haven't figured out how to inherit it until now. If you hadn't suddenly said this, I really wouldn't bother to pay attention to you. Quote. Okay, stop wasting time, let's get started. The Lord of Grey Mist said impatiently. Yiran turned his head and looked at Zhang Xiaoru gently. Go. No, I won't go, I just want to be your student, I don't want those weird things. Quote. Zhang Xiaoru shook her head. For the first time in her life, she learned to say no to others. For the first time in her life, she chose not to listen. Zhang Xiaoru recalled that Teacher Yi would always say good morning to her with a smile before morning reading. Recalling that every time she studied late at night and was hungry, Teacher Yi would treat her to a midnight snack. Recalling that when facing the ridicule of classmates today, Teacher Yi stood in front of her to block all the mocking eyes. Recalling that Han Kyun teased her when Teacher Yi grabbed her wrist. And now Teacher Yi bet his life on the inheritance statue for her. From childhood to adulthood, except for her parents, she has never felt this kind of love from another person. The kind of unconditional love that hopes for your well-being. The kind of pure love. The suppressed emotions finally broke out at this moment. The tears in Zhang Xiaoru's eyes could not stop flowing down. Yiran looked at the crying Zhang Xiaoru, a little helpless. He could only touch Zhang Xiaoru's head and continue to say, Go, believe in the judgment of the teacher, you will succeed. Quote. Yiran kept comforting and calmed Zhang Xiaoru's heart. Zhang Xiaoru wiped her tears and walked towards the dark and strange statue tremblingly. She touched it with her palm. Instantly, the black energy spread wildly. It turned directly into a strange ancient magic circle on the ground. The energy of this magic circle was so strong that it even made the whole room shake. Tisk tisk, the power of the stimulation is too strong. We have to change the place. The Lord of Grey Mist's eyes flickered, and her voice was full of excitement. Because this inconspicuous girl actually stimulated the inheritance of the Dark Knight Priest. As the grey energy dissipated, the sculpture, Zhang Xiaoru, Yiran and others were directly teleported to a void. This is the Grey Fog domain, and it is also my private space. The Lord of Grey Fog responded lightly, and then looked at Zhang Xiaoru excitedly. Don't worry, this place won't break down. Exclamation mark. Use all your strength to drive it, let me see how well you can adapt to it. Exclamation mark. Quote. Listening to the words of the Lord of Grey Fog, Zhang Xiaoru no longer hesitated, closed her eyes and began to establish a soul connection with the sculpture wholeheartedly. Boom. Exclamation mark. Exclamation mark. Quote. In an instant, the black magic circle expanded more than 10 times, and the Grey Fog domain almost couldn't withstand this rapid expansion, and there were even a few cracks. Tisk, a little arrogant. The Lord of Gray Fog surged up and down, and continued to dissipate gray energy, madly expanding the gray fog domain, until it completely covered the black magic circle and barely stopped. At this moment, even the Lord of Gray Mist revealed a trace of fatigue in his eyes. But in the midst of fatigue, there was more shock and excitement. Good, 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 not only can it be inherited, but it is also so suitable for inheritance. A good seedling picked out of a million. Besides being excited, the Lord of Gray Mist felt a little disappointed. Why couldn't the three of them find such a seedling after so much effort? But it was easily found by a little silver guy. She glanced at Yi Ran with a complicated expression. Since they got the statue of the Dark Knight Priest, it has never been exhibited to outsiders. How did Yi Ran know the text behind it? And how could Yi Ran be 100% sure that the students he brought up could inherit the Dark Knight Priest? Weird and mysterious boy. For a moment, the Lord of Gray Mist narrowed his eyes slightly. I really want to pull out his soul and study it carefully. As if he felt the malice of the Lord of Gray Mist staring at him, Yi Ran hurriedly laughed. Dear Lord of Gray Mist, with Zhang Xiaoru's performance, what level of inheritance completeness can she achieve? The completeness of the inheritance determines Zhang Xiaoru's future potential. With the status of a Dark Knight Priest, if the completeness can reach 50%, Zhang Xiaoru will be a diamond-level strongman in the future. If the completeness can reach more than 60%, Zhang Xiaoru's future will have unlimited possibilities. The Lord of Gray Mist heard Yi Ran's words. Then he turned his head and looked at Zhang Xiaoru in the inheritance ceremony. You don't know if you don't feel it, and the Lord of Gray Mist felt incredible. The breadth of this inheritance has reached more than 60%. Any inheritance is the power given by the inheritance. Monster. The Lord of Gray Mist had a fanatical look in his eyes. A top-level professional inheritance has welcomed an inheritor with a compatibility of more than 60%. The Lord of Gray Mist was a little afraid to imagine what the future of this girl would be like. Unable to help, another thought appeared in the Lord of Gray Mist's mind. If everything goes well, in the near future, they will welcome the fourth extraordinary person in the Free Tavern. 4 extraordinary people in one sect. What is the Holy Court of Light, the strongest angel, the Church of Eternal Night, the Ancestor of Blood, the Ragnarok, the Lord of Thunder? In the future, they will all lick the shoes of the Free Tavern. Thinking of this, the Lord of Gray Mist was a little excited, and even the gray mist on his body shook uncontrollably. When he heard the words, perfect inheritance, Yi Ran's mouth also slightly revealed a smile. Perfect inheritance. The system really didn't lie to him. Zhang Xiaoru's adaptability to the Dark Knight Priest was really high enough. This is the Dark Knight Priest, the top inheritance profession of the Free Tavern. It is also the top batch among the extraordinary inheritance professions. This means that as long as Zhang Xiaoru continues to practice, she will eventually reach the result that Yi Ran presets. Ascend to God. As the inheritance ceremony came to an end, suddenly, the gray fog began to become chaotic. An inexplicable power began to gather above the gray fog domain. The Lord of Gray Mist snorted coldly. At this moment, the Lord of Gray Mist would never allow any abnormal movement that disturbed the inheritance ceremony. In an instant, countless gray energies began to pour into the hole that was about to crack like mending the sky. Boom. However, in the face of the full-scale interception of the Lord of Gray Mist, the energy did not stop at all, and directly blasted through the gray fog domain, and fell on Zhang Xiaoru. The powerful breaking of the formation made even the extraordinary Lord of Gray Mist unable to help but have his blood surging, and a stream of blood rushed up. For a moment, the Lord of Gray Mist was a little horrified. What kind of great power was this, actually ignoring his full-scale defense and shattering his domain? This, even those extraordinary people who destroyed the country can't do it easily. Moreover, when he came into contact with this energy, the Lord of Gray Mist actually felt a slight shudder. This shudder came from the suppression of status. The last time he felt this way was when he was with the white-bearded old man in the Magic City. The Lord of Gray Mist felt a little depressed, hoping that this would not affect the inheritance of the little girl. When the impact energy dissipated, the inheritance ceremony was completely over. At this time, Zhang Xiaoru's momentum began to soar wildly. Mid-bronze, late bronze, early silver, mid-silver, late silver, early gold, mid-gold. The rising strength finally stopped when it reached the mid-gold. Just one inheritance. It directly crossed 7 levels. The Lord of Grey Mist, who saw this scene, heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed that this was just part of the inheritance ceremony. However, it seemed that the status of the Dark Knight Priest was indeed high enough. A casual attack actually made her soul tremble. Just when Zhang Xiaoru achieved a continuous leap in rank in her strength sword, Yi Ran, who was standing by, also heard the voice of the system in his mind. Ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully completing the task and guiding a student. The reward for this guidance is being issued. Closing square bracket. Ding! Congratulations to the host for winning a bronze lottery ticket. Closing square bracket. Ding! The teaching object was detected too. The host highly respects you. Do you want to bind him as your personal disciple? Here it comes again. It feels good. Yi Ran chose to accept without thinking. Ding! Congratulations to the host for getting a personal disciple. Instantly, Yi Ran felt that he had established a subtle connection with Zhang Xiaoru. Yi Ran's breath began to swell. The black dragon in his body began to materialize and surround Yi Ran. The black dragon of the Yi family. Looking at the black dragon surrounding Yi Ran, the Lord of Grey Mist whispered, with a complex light flashing in his eyes. Roar! The black dragon around Yi Ran roared. Yi Ran felt that his meridians began to widen continuously. The endless power washed every part of his body like a big river. With the continuous washing of power, the black dragon around Yi Ran became more solid. The bondage of Wang Dakan and Zhang Xiaoru's practice. Yi Ran finally accumulated enough foundation and was ready to break through the gold level. Roar! The black dragon was anxious and turned into a stream of energy, rushing towards Yi Ran's mind. Begin to charge towards the invisible shackles. Reckless, the Lord of Grey Mist said lightly. As a transcendent, she could naturally see the problem of Yi Ran's physical talent at a glance. Presumably, Yi Ran should have been a child of destiny before, and should have challenged the gold level early, but failed. After failing to reach the golden level several times, the golden shackles on Yi Ran's body had become so thick that they could be easily seen. Generally, at this point, it can be said that the hope of advancing in cultivation has been basically destroyed. People who practice cultivation also call this kind of shackles a natural moat, a gap that cannot be crossed. If you want to use your own strength to attack this level of golden shackles, it is destined to be like an ant trying to shake a tree, or a mantis trying to stop a chariot. It is nothing more than consolidating the shackles a little more. Yi Ran couldn't care less at this moment. At this moment, he was full of ambition. He drove the black dragon in his heart and charged towards the golden barrier. When he was about to touch the rock-like golden shackles, Yi Ran's innate body started to work again. In an instant, the operation of the innate body made the solid golden shackles melt away. Yi Ran went straight to the dragon without encountering any obstacles. He broke through the golden barrier. Boom! A powerful aura spread out with Yi Ran as the center. Golden level, breakthrough. The Lord of the Grey Mist looked at this scene with astonishment, and succeeded. How can this be? The Lord of Grey Mist narrowed his eyes and observed carefully. As an extraordinary person, she could naturally feel at a glance that Yi Ran's aura had become much stronger. This degree was no weaker than the late golden stage. Everything has two sides. Failure of multiple attacks has a great risk of ruining the practice. However, long-term suppression and impact can also make the foundation of the practitioner more solid than ever before. At this time, Yi Ran is like a bamboo shoot, which has taken root for 10 years and can break through the soil once it breaks through. The sun is 3 feet high. Even if he is at the initial stage of gold, his solid foundation and quality are no less than those of people at the late stage of gold. Since Yi Ran had put away his aura directly after the breakthrough, the Lord of Grey Mist did not notice. At this time, the power of the black dragon in Yi Ran's body actually began to emit a faint golden light. After successfully attacking, Yi Ran's face did not show any emotional excitement at all, as if he had done something simple. The usual things are normal. The Lord of Grey Mist naturally saw this scene. The Lord of Grey Mist wondered for a moment whether this kid was deliberately creating difficulties for himself in order to consolidate his foundation. After many failed attempts, he finally succeeded one day. It is said that ordinary people would have laughed themselves crazy like Fan Jin did when he passed the imperial examination. But the young man in front of him was still as calm as ever. He was not happy with things, nor sad with himself, as if he was not the one who did such a great deed. With such a temper and such cunningness, in time, it seems that the Yi family will produce another remarkable figure. Zhang Xiaoru ran towards Yi Ran excitedly. Teacher, I succeeded. Zhang Xiaoru couldn't help hugging Yi Ran because of her inner joy and endless gratitude. Teacher, look, this is what the statue gave me after the inheritance. After saying this, Zhang Xiaoru, like a student showing off her grades. A black staff appeared out of thin air in her hand. This staff was extremely black, with complex patterns faintly carved on it. Just looking at it more often, I feel like my soul will be sucked in. Strange, mysterious, powerful. Xiaoru, do you feel uncomfortable? Quote. Zhang Xiaoru thought for a moment and shook her head. I don't feel uncomfortable, but I always feel that this staff is connected to my blood. I feel like I am commanding someone to use it. It feels like my own arm. Just as the master and the apprentice were studying the staff that appeared out of nowhere. The voice of the Lord of Grey Mist sounded again. But for some reason this extraordinary voice was trembling a little. Little girl, can you let me take a look at that staff? Hearing the request of the Lord of Grey Mist, Zhang Xiaoru did not choose to do the same as she had promised Han Qun before. He obediently handed the staff to the Lord of Grey Mist, but turned his head to look at Yi Ran. Teacher, is it okay? He looked as if he would not be able to command him without Yi Ran's nod. Supernormal. At this moment, in Zhang Xiaoru's heart, not even a hair of teacher Zhenyi can compare to her. Seeing Zhang Xiaoru's performance, Yi Ran felt warm inside, touched Zhang Xiaoru's head, and said with a smile. Go, show it to the senior. After all, the Lord of Grey Mist is one of the 3 extraordinary people in the Free Tavern. She knew much more about the secrets of the Free Tavern than Yi Ran. Knowing more would be good for Zhang Xiaoru's development. After listening to Yi Ran's words, Zhang Xiaoru obediently displayed the staff in her hand again. After seeing this scene, the smoke around the Lord of Grey Mist shook a little, and he muttered to himself. Exclusive. It's actually exclusive. Yi Ran looked at the Lord of Grey Mist's loss of composure. He couldn't help but ask. Senior, is there any problem with Xiaoru's inheritance? After all, everyone could see the energy column that blasted through the field before, so Yi Ran was naturally worried that there was something wrong with Zhang Xiaoru's inheritance. The Lord of Grey Mist came to his senses after hearing Yi Ran's question. She was silent for a moment, then said to Yi Ran and the others. You are not from a sect, so you naturally don't understand the inheritance. The sect's inheritance has been continued. For tens of millions of years, the source of all power has come from one token after another that possesses mysterious power. Quote. Some organizations call it a deity, some organizations call it a fruit position, and some organizations call it a career sequence, but they all lead to the same goal. Those of us who are in harmony with the token will gain different degrees of potential development in the process of receiving the energy baptism of the token according to our own degree of harmony. Quote. However, a very small number of people can obtain the exclusive right of the token because they are perfectly compatible with it. One token can transform countless people who are compatible with it, but there is only one exclusive right. The Lord of Grey Mist paused for a moment, and the shock in his eyes still did not dissipate. Perhaps you cannot intuitively feel what exclusive means, but I can tell you responsibly that the Eternal Spear, Thor's Hammer, and Archangel's Sword that have appeared in history are all exclusive to the token. Hearing this, Yi Ran took a breath of cold air. The things that the Lord of Grey Mist said are really too famous. They are all the weapons of the top strong men at that time. Each of them has left a strong mark in the long river of history. Now you know what exclusive means. The Lord of Grey Mist said, and she looked at Zhang Xiaoru with a sharp look in her eyes. There is a saying in our sect group that when a person gets the exclusive right of a token, quote, her inheritance matching degree for the token will be at least above 90%. The Lord of Grey Mist paused for a moment, her eyes fixed on Zhang Xiaoru. In other words, she is the original deity of this sequence. Just after the Lord of Grey Mist finished speaking, the voice of the system in Yi Ran's mind rang again. Ding, it is detected that the host has successfully completed the achievement task. guiding the students to achieve perfect inheritance 1/1, and this lottery ticket has started a special upgrade. Ding! This lottery ticket has been specially upgraded to a color lottery ticket, which can draw a special color treasure chest. Do you want to open it? Yi Ran chose to open it. Ding! Opening a special colored treasure chest. Closing square bracket. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining the sect token. Do you want to bundle it? Closing square bracket. Sect token. After Yi Ran's mind flashed with confusion, the system gave a reply. Sect token. A consumable rule item used to establish a sect. Closing square bracket. The user of the token will become the sect master and can include his direct disciples in the sect. Apprenticeship gift. When accepting a disciple into the sect master can randomly draw and copy the talents, skills, weapons, etc. of the direct disciples once. Closing square bracket. Encouragement. The sect master can temporarily improve all the attributes of all disciples. The current attribute improvement is 100%, and the time limit is 10 minutes 3/3. Closing square bracket. Current sect passive bonus. 1. Increase the practice speed by 10%. 2. Increase the attack power by 10%. 3. The combined attack damage of sect disciples is increased by 10%. What a perverted effect. This means that I will randomly obtain any attribute of all my disciples. At the same time, I can give all disciples 3 stimulants a day to double their combat power. Not only that, all the internal members of the sect can also obtain the bonus of practice speed, attack power, and combined attack damage. It seems that the higher the level of the sect, the higher the bonus obtained. Without thinking, Yi Ran directly chose to create a sect. Ding! It is detected that the host is creating a sect. Please give the sect a name. Yi Ran thought for a moment, and finally 2 words emerged in his mind. Heaven. Ding! Congratulations to the host. The heavenly court has been successfully established. Please accept it as a disciple of the sect as soon as possible. Closing square bracket. Yi Ran directly pulled Wang Dakan and Zhang Xiaoru into his sect. Congratulations to the host. Successfully accepted a disciple. Wang Dakan, extracting and copying. Congratulations to the host. Successfully copied the talent. Giant strength. The host's strength bonus increased by 30%. Then Yi Ran felt that his muscles swelled a little more, and his strength seemed to have increased a lot, but that was all. Seeing the result of Wang Dakan's copy, Yi Ran curled his lips. It's worthy of you, Wang Dakan. The extracted copy talent can be said to be a bonus that is better than nothing. Congratulations to the host. Successfully accepted a disciple. Zhang Xiaoru, extracting and copying. Congratulations to the host. Successfully copied the weapon. Life and Death Scepter Unique Prop, the product of the interweaving of the 2 laws of life and death, the killing weapon of the merciful. Life and Death Staff. The user can switch between attack and healing effects at will, and the effect is increased by 300%. Contains skills. Gift of the Goddess of Life. Heal any life 1/1. Gaze of the Goddess of Death. Curse any life 1/1. The effect will be discounted according to the difference between the user's strength and the target of the spell. Good stuff. When Yi Ran saw the introduction of the Life and Death Staff, his eyes lit up, and he definitely made a lot of money this time. Regardless of the triple bonus, the 2 accompanying skills alone are abnormal. Resurrection on the spot, fixed point curse. It is completely a rule-based method. It doesn't make any sense. This time, guiding Zhang Xiaoru on the path of inheritance is definitely worth the trip. Just as Yi Ran was studying the system reward, the Lord of Grey Mist on the side spoke. Yi Ran, we need to talk. This time, the Lord of Grey Mist did not call Yi Ran a kid, but communicated with Yi Ran in a negotiating tone. If it were an ordinary person, he would have been flattered by now. But Yi Ran still looked calm and composed, neither humble nor overbearing. Senior, please speak. The Lord of Grey Mist said. First of all, I want to thank you for bringing such a perfect inheritor to our free tavern. From today on, you are a friend of our free tavern, and you can use this token to mobilize people at any time in any of our branches. As a cloud of grey mist surged, Yi Ran suddenly had a token in his hand, and the token was accompanied by the same mysterious aura as the Lord of Grey Mist. I also like the attitude of the free tavern. If you need me, just call me. Yi Ran responded to the Lord of Grey Mist, expressing his recognition and gratitude for the free tavern. In his tone, he always put himself and the behemoth like the Free Tavern on an equal footing. Not like a superpower at all. The gift to an individual is like two equal forces establishing diplomatic relations. The Lord of Grey Mist looked at Yi-Ran and was silent for a long time. Yi-Ran's seemingly arrogant words made her, a transcendent, feel nothing wrong. This strange feeling made the Lord of Grey Mist feel an indescribable complex emotion. To be honest, I can't see through you. The Lord of Grey Mist spoke out his true thoughts, but it doesn't matter. Our Free Tavern is different from those hypocritical and upright people. We will not spy on our friends at will. The Lord of Grey Mist paused. After a pause, he continued, secondly, I hope Zhang Xiaoru will stay with me. She just got the inheritance and needs my help and consolidation. Senior, this kind of thing needs to be asked Zhang Xiaoru's own wishes. Yi-Ran turned his head and looked at Zhang Xiaoru. Are you willing? Zhang Xiaoru looked at Yi-Ran, then looked at the Lord of Grey Mist, and finally said to Yi-Ran seriously. Teacher Yi, I won't go back to school, I want to stay here. Hearing this, Yi-Ran was slightly stunned. He didn't expect that Zhang Xiaoru, who had always been obedient and timid, would make such a choice. But he nodded. Just follow your own choice. Zhang Xiaoru seemed to be afraid that Yi-Ran would misunderstand, and hurriedly explained, Teacher Yi, only by staying here can I make the fastest progress, because… Zhang Xiaoru hesitated for a moment and mustered up the courage. Because I don't want Teacher Yi to break his promise, I will fulfill all the words on the podium for you, Teacher Yi. I want to be the strongest one, and I want to let the school know that Teacher Yi is the best teacher. Listening to Zhang Xiaoru's words, Yi-Ran was slightly stunned. He didn't expect that Zhang Xiaoru actually listened to all the words he said on the podium without missing a word. It must have taken a lot of courage for the timid little girl to say such bold words now. Yi-Ran touched Zhang Xiaoru's head and said with relief, it seems that our little girl has grown up. Zhang Xiaoru, who was still lowering her head, looked up at Yi-Ran. The two smiled at each other, and the teacher and student seemed to have reached a tacit understanding at this moment. Then, Zhang Xiaoru looked up at the Lord of Grey Mist and said seriously. Senior, I can stay, but I have to take the final exam of the freshman year. I hope that before that, I can grow into the strongest freshman in the entire Magic City High Martial Arts Academy. Zhang Xiaoru's tone was firm, without any of the cowardice before. Although the Lord of Grey Mist didn't know the cause and effect. He still laughed. You are too much of a talent, don't worry, if you get second place, our Free Tavern will be disbanded on the spot. I am looking forward to the expression of the white-bearded old man at that time. Listening to the excitement in the tone of the Lord of Grey Mist. It is not difficult to feel that the Lord of Grey Mist and his principal have a big feud. After that, Yi-Ran said to the Lord of Grey Mist. Now that the matter has been discussed, let's talk about something off topic. Just tell me what you want to say, I can help you kill anyone. Obviously, the Lord of Grey Mist was in a very good mood at this time. Yi-Ran looked at the Lord of Grey Mist and said seriously. Luwanyi is just outside the door. She misses you very much. Please meet her, Aunt Enjing. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.